talkSPORT Sports Update, powered by the Nissan Van range, supporting van owners to get the job done. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van centre.
Good afternoon, I'm Max Scott here with your sports headlines. Chelsea have confirmed Liam Rosenior is their new head coach until 2032, but Strasbourg fans aren't happy. They're complaining the club is subservient to their multi-club ownership group Blueco that also owns Chelsea. But speaking to the press upon his departure at the French club, Rosenior denies the allegations.
I think that the narrative that this project is for the interest of only one club is completely wrong, and I think in time I will be proven right.
In true Blues fashion, Rosenior has been given a bumper 5.5-year deal, but Simon Jordan's backed Chelsea's consistent approach to contracts.
It is in keeping with their belief that you build a stable environment with young players and young managers that can be developed with the club and develop an overall strategy of building for the future and the here and now.
Rosenior will be in the stands at Craven Cottage for Chelsea's trip to Fulham tomorrow night, which is live exclusively on talkSPORT 2. While Chelsea have opted for youth in a time of crisis, Chelsea have called yet again on trusted experience. Martin O'Neill's been speaking to talkSPORT about his second coming this season, and with them 6 points off the league leaders' Hearts, has he been given the target of winning the league?
That has not been something that's been put to me. We have to try and find it. It'll be very, very difficult. We're behind. Rangers have caught up now as well too. So it will be difficult, but it is a challenge for us.
Elsewhere, more managerial casualties are emerging this year. West Brom have sacked Ryan Mason, and talkSPORT understands Lee Carsley is in the running to replace him. And talkSPORT understands Ruben Amorim's public criticism of his players played a part in his sacking at Manchester United. To get more insight on his dismissal at the club, head to our website at talksport.com.
talkSPORT News.
Drivers over 70 may have to get an eye test every 3 years under new plans, and the first named storm of the year is on the way.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. Get a free vehicle safety check at all of our 600 centres nationwide to keep you safe on the road. QuickFit. Drive away happy every time.
Rain, sleet and snow moves in from the northwest today, with heavy and persistent snow affecting parts of Scotland, sunny spells and wintry showers elsewhere.
Hello and welcome to talkSPORT Goals. We've been taking you through what should be another busy day of football.
Chance to win it! Oh! Oh!
Oh! We don't need to do that, guys.
I'm going to owe you an apology.
How would you get to that conclusion? That's a weak mentality.
Oh, get out of it.
This is Paul Hawksbee and Andy Jacobs with you through until 4 here on talkSPORT. Where this afternoon, Andy, please tell us what's coming up.
Well, coming up over the next 3 hours, we'll discover what Chelsea fans can expect from Liam Rosenior. We don't really know. We'll look ahead to tonight's crunch game at the London Stadium with, amongst others, former Hammers winger Matt Jarvis. And Steve Harmison reflects on another tough day, the worst day, I'd say, for England in the Ashes.
And that is saying something.
It's a low bar.
It is. We're also after tales of your past catching up with you, as one of the Strasbourg players has found today. We'd like you, Martin O'Neill, like managers over 70, you'd happily welcome back. I've got one to kick you off. And we'll look at all the day's big transfer stories.
As all this, plus we'll look at the F1 rule changes. We'll ask the Tartan Army what they make of their post-Haiti bank holiday.
Yeah.
And we'll hear from the gaffers ahead of a busy midweek programme.
That's right, we've got all the games for you here on talkSPORT, we're delighted to say, and we'll be hearing from the managers later on. And during Drive, you'll hear from Darren Fletcher, the interim boss of Manchester United.
I think he'll do a good job. He knows the club. He's got the DNA within him.
Very, very much so.
The club DNA. That's what we need.
It is approaching 6 minutes past 1. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Andy. And as you can probably hear,
yes, welcome back.
I've got the semblance of a voice, albeit the Paul Whitehouse character in the pub said, hardest game in the world. And
It was just a Bob Harris.
yeah. So, yeah, I came back from the Tottenham game and I heard Danny's intro yesterday, not through shouting, because there wasn't a great deal to shout about after 45 minutes.
Oh, dear.
But, yeah, the cold air and everything, and I had a bit of a virus, and you heard me yesterday. I could
Yesterday you sounded terrible. You sound a lot better today.
barely speak. So it's all it's not quite whispering, Bob, but I'm sure I'll be fine. Anyway, it's not like I left. Thank you for Danny for stepping in at the last minute.
What a man.
But it's not like you didn't have much to talk about.
No, it's quite a lot to talk about, wasn't it, really? But one story that got lost yesterday amongst all that, the racing on the all-weather at Wolverhampton was called off yesterday. So all weather except snow.
I've never quite got that. We've had this before. The all-weather's being called off. Sure, they should call it something else, shouldn't
Call
they?
it the all-weather.
Somebody should step in and call it the some weather racing.
And I was beginning to wonder whether Simon Cowell had gone to Sandy Lane because there were no pictures of him.
No, because that used to be the start of our Christmas, wasn't it? You always knew it was Christmas when you saw Simon Cowell on a jet ski at Sandy Lane.
There was a picture of him at Sandy Lane with his wife, but I don't know if the jet skis were out of order. He was just standing in front of the hotel.
Oh, really? Maybe he's
quite disappointed.
He's of an age where he doesn't feel a jet ski is appropriate. Maybe he could go and manage a top British football club like Martin O'Neill. Martin was on earlier with Jim and Simon. He's back. You knew he'd be back as soon as Wilfred Nancy.
I wasn't sure they were going to do it. It's like a bit like having to, swallow your pride, really, to call him back. But it was the right thing to do.
I mean, they took on a full-time manager. Martin knew he was only there short-term going in, but it was working. So good luck to him. And it got me thinking about any other over-70s managers that I would like back at Spurs. Now, I'm watching. It's a difficult one, this, because I'm watching Tottenham and I'm thinking, is this going to work long term? I'm not altogether sure it is. But is he the real reason why it's all going wrong? The players aren't quite up to it. So I do feel quite conflicted. But it is quite joyless, Andy. It's quite energy.
Tell me about it.
Joy-sapping football.
Game on.
You went to the
Brentford game.
Yeah.
Oh, it was just.
Was it like that? You've watched a lot of Brentford. I mean, is it this flat?
Managing
tedious?
Brentford, it's not the same as managing Tottenham. Brentford don't have a tradition of playing beautiful football, under Bill Nicholson and all that. They don't have that club tradition, do they? So it's much easier, I think, to manage that team than it is to.
So on that basis, if Martin can get the gig, what is he, 73?
Yeah,
I'm calling for Harry to come back. If we can only have an over, you can only have a new manager if they're over 70. So we know that it's going to be Alan Buckley for Grimsby. He's definitely coming back.
Yeah, definitely.
Alan will come back. I'll have Harry back. I can't have Martin Yole because he's not 70 till next week.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, so he's too young. But I think Harry would liven things up. I think it'd be a bit front foot. I don't think substitutes would take 10 minutes to hear what the coaches expected from them. He'd do a pav, wouldn't he? Go out there and run about a bit.
It's a shame Ted Drake's no longer with us.
Yeah. So if there are any managers, they've got to be over. There's two provisos. They've got to be over 70. They've got to have managed your club before, and they've got to be alive. I mean, that's yeah.
Do you want a quick Brian Linford letter?
Let me just tell you the details first. Talksport.com, text 81089, tweet TSH and J. 03717223344 to get in touch this afternoon with your over 70s managers you'd happily take back at the moment. What would they bring to the table? Andy, yes, Brian Linford, your mate.
He's writing about Torvill and Dean and their honour in the new year.
We should point out for the people who just joined us this is what is now our 26th year somehow.
Yes. Where have you been?
Yeah, you're just joining us for the first. We've been here 26 years. We're like that last Japanese soldier on the island. They've probably sacked us about 20 times.
They haven't told us.
We just barricaded ourselves into the studio. Where were we?
Yes.
So Brian writes letters to the the Star? Only the Star select?
Only writes to the Star, and
Really?
he writes a lot of letters. I'd say out of the 5 days of the week, I'd say at least 4 he gets a letter in.
He emphasises words with capital letters.
Yes, he does.
He has no punctuation, so it's a bit like that.
The sort of stream of consciousness.
Yeah, it's a bit like that Samuel Beckett play that Billy Whitelaw did for all you football fans out there. So, go on then.
Great reference.
Yeah, that's it. Well, start the year as you mean to go on.
So
go on then.
Capital letters. Torvill, brackets 68.
Yeah.
And Dean, brackets 67. Saw their Last Dance doc screened ITV. Deservedly given a knighthood and damehood in the King's New Year's honours list.
Yeah.
Their 1984 gold medal Olympics medals through to TV's Dancing on Ice sees awesome 50-year careers. Thank you, Brian.
Well done, Brian. Brilliant.
And really added a lot to it.
Does he get paid for them?
I don't think so.
Oh, yeah, the other thing I wanted to get you going on today was Emmanuel Omega. I've never heard of him before. Amiga. Is he Amiga?
He's an Amiga, yeah.
He's an Amiga, okay.
An Omega and Amiga.
Okay, he's Emmanuel Amiga. He has been at Strasbourg, and his hope was that he'd be moving to Chelsea.
Well, I think he's signed. I think he's coming in the summer. That's the plan.
He's coming in the summer.
Yeah.
Or is he?
Well, that's
because
a good question.
He's reportedly been suspended by Strasbourg because he threw a water bottle at their now former coach, Liam Rosenior.
Not a good sign, is it really?
So that may be a complicated move now.
Yeah.
So we're just wondering if your past has ever caught up with you like that. If you've sort of done the dirty on someone along the way and they pop up later in life to your cost.
Yeah.
Or vice versa. Someone's done it to you. Let us know as well, those over 70s managers we're looking for that you'd happily welcome back at the moment and why. talksport.com/H&J. You can text to 81089. You can tweet to TSH&J and you can give us a call 03717 223344.
There's a classic story in the Star today from our old friend Jerry Lawton. This is a report. He comes up with these brilliant stories that just got nothing behind them, really. Brits are cashing in on the Littler effect to bail themselves out of a New Year credit crisis. Hard-up folk are rooting through the attic for darts souvenirs as the darts memorabilia market is rocketing following the Nukes World Championship win. Auction site eBay has exploded with souvenirs.
Really?
Honest.
Darts souvenirs.
Darts memorabilia.
Who's got,
I'm in terrible financial trouble. Oh, good, I found a pair of Phil Taylor flights. I'll be all right now.
Only a pair. Surely you need three.
No, three, yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
Not a pair. That's where I went wrong.
I found 3 old Phil Taylor flights. They went for £2 million on eBay.
All my troubles are over.
Jerry was right. That's right. Our darts memorabilia. If you've got some darts memorabilia you want to share with the class today, we'd love to know. Talksport.com, text 81089, tweet TSH&J.
Another story is Donald Trump is in the running to replace Ruben Amorim as Manchester United boss.
Who said that?
Aaron Tinney in the Star.
Really?
You're right. Yeah, Ladbrokes are taking bets.
I think he'd had a couple of tinnies when he wrote that, hadn't he?
Yeah. The bookmakers have taken bets on him. But
Donald Trump being the next Manchester United manager?
2,000 to 1.
Don't you think nowadays, though, taking one of these big jobs, especially if you're a foreign coach, I just think they're a free hit. Manchester United, maybe Chelsea to extent. All these big jobs are a free hit because you can turn around afterwards and say, well, because it doesn't ever.
It depends how much you're damaged. I mean, somebody like Amorim.
I bet you he'll get a plum job in Europe. He'll still get a big job in the Bundesliga.
It's the best job for payoff. So it's the best job to get sacked from.
Oh yeah,
it is. Ruben Amorim has made more money out of Manchester United leaving than Alex Ferguson did.
Oh no. I know.
Much more. It's mad, isn't it? It makes no sense at all. But there you go.
I don't think they suffer the reputational damage because they put the context of the club and everything that's gone on and the amount of managers they've had. So he'll probably walk into another plum. He'll probably go back to Sporting at some point.
Merry-go-round. Maresca will get another job. I mean, definitely.
We'll ask Kevin Hatchard's joining us later on. We're going to West Ham fans will find out more about your new strikers, your 2 new strikers that will hopefully score the goals, much like, as we were reminded today in the Sun, Dave Kitson and Big John Hartson did back in the day to keep you up, because you said they've done that. It's been a few. Remember didn't Lee Chapman come in as part of some sort of mercy mission for West Ham when they were in trouble years ago?
Oh, I can't remember. Possibly, yeah, I do remember him.
So anyway, we'll find out about your new overseas strikers. We'll kick off though, chatting to Julien Laurent, French football expert. They're not happy at Strasbourg that they've lost Liam Rosenior, but what are Chelsea getting? What has Jules seen that he feels will be successful or otherwise at the Bridge? That's all coming up. And we'll hear from Liam Rosenior in his final press conference today when he signed off for Strasbourg. We're here, of course, with our good friends at Tool Station. Stay one step ahead, whatever the job. Next stop, Tool Station.
Hello and welcome to talkSPORT Goals. We're taking you through what should be another busy day of football.
Chance to win it! Oh!
We don't need to do that, guys.
I'm going to owe you an apology.
How would you get to that conclusion? That's a weak mentality.
Oh, get out of it.
Hawksbee and Andy Jacobs here on talkSPORT. Well, before signing off as the Strasbourg manager, Liam Rosenior spoke to the press and explained his reasoning for taking the Chelsea job.
Reality in football is there are levels. There are levels of clubs. I know that the ambition of this club is to reach the very highest level. The reality of that at the moment is that Strasbourg is not on the level of Chelsea. It's not as big a club. It will grow and it will achieve things in the future. But there are certain clubs that you just cannot turn down. So I hope the fans can see that, and I hope they're proud in a way that somebody who's worked here has been identified to be the manager of a Champions League winning current club world champions. I hope that people can see it in that way and can understand how difficult it was for me to make the decision to leave the club.
Yeah, that's Liam Rosenior. Looking at the statement from the Strand, no, he literally couldn't turn it down.
Well, he couldn't.
It's an offer he can't refuse, because if he does, then, you know...
Well, he could have stayed. He could have said, no, look, I'm not ready for it and I want to stay here. I mean, he could have...
Does that show a lack of ambition from the point? I mean, obviously, they've offered it to him.
I think Darren Bent knows him pretty well. Darren said to me yesterday, he couldn't refuse the job.
Of course he couldn't, and nobody can blame him for that. But maybe a bit optimistic to think that that's the way the Strasbourg fans will look at it. They've issued a statement, and here to discuss that and more is French football expert, friend of the show, Julien Laurent. Hi, Jules.
Hello, boys.
Yeah, we've heard from the Strasbourg fans. They are upset. They feel this is a bit of a line in the sand. I mean, the flip side of this, of course, Jules, is that they do benefit as a fan base from watching maybe better players than they could otherwise get because of this Chelsea connection. So it's a bit of a trade-off, isn't it?
Yeah, I think you're right, Paul. I think you summed it up really well. I can understand the frustration, because halfway through the season to lose your manager when you're doing so well, when you're top of the Conference League phase, for example, it would not be easy for any club, really, and especially when the club taking your manager is the club that also owns you in a way. So it's difficult, but like you said, without the Blue Co ownership, those Strasbourg fans would have never got Liam Rosenior in the first place. They would have never got people like Emmanuel Emega, who will go to Chelsea in the summer. But there's a lot of great players that Strasbourg currently have in their squads that are only there because of the Blue Co ownership. So it's probably more balanced. You understand their frustration. A lot of these Strasbourg ultras were never keen on the Blue Co ownership. They never wanted to be the parent club. They never wanted to be the kind of Chelsea second team, if you want, which is what they've become, honestly.
Yeah,
that's the problem.
I mean, when you look at a player like Andre Santos, though, he's such a great prospect. He looked great when he came on Sunday, and he had a fantastic time at Strasbourg, didn't he? And it works for both clubs, really, because he got football and developed, and Chelsea could then take him. But I can understand from a Strasbourg point of view, that's irritating.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I think Andre Santos was probably not yet at the level of a Chelsea Premier League starter, for example, but he had a great time at Strasbourg with Liam Rosenior. They will be reunited. I think Andre Santos is very happy that Rosenior is coming back, is coming to Chelsea, and I think Rosenior will be very happy to have Andre Santos back. But you're right, absolutely. Santos would have not reached that level without the loan at Strasbourg. Whether he's ready, fully ready now to start for Chelsea or not, it's a different matter. But certainly his development was helped by the fact that he went on loan to Ligue 1, which is not a league as big as the Premier League and as strong as the Premier League. And it's the same for Rosenior. Before Rosenior went to Strasbourg, he would have never been ready to take the Chelsea job. Now that he had 18 months in Europe, in the French league, doing really, really well, he certainly felt more ready for it. And I think the Chelsea ownership looked at him and said, you know what, he showed in Strasbourg that he can have a chance to be the Chelsea manager.
So we saw Wayne Rooney being sort of fulsome in his praise about Liam as a coach. I mean, speaking to people in the French game, Jules, what have they said to you about him? What sort of reputation has he built in France, and how will that then take him into the Chelsea job?
Highly rated, Paul, really, and I've watched probably 80% of his games at Strasbourg since he took over 18 months ago or so. And I have to say I was very impressed from the beginning in terms of philosophy. And again, I think we should be careful because he might well adapt to the Chelsea squad, to be in the Premier League and not do exactly the same that he did at Strasbourg. But what he did at Strasbourg, we saw a back three to start with. So it'd be interesting to see if Chelsea do play with a back three under Rosenior. We saw a goalkeeper at the time in Strasbourg, whether it was Petrovic last season or even more Mike Penders this year, who's on loan from Chelsea, obviously, at Strasbourg. Very much involved in the build-up phase, playing super high when Strasbourg have the ball to be basically a third centre-back. That's how he often played 30, 40 yards away from his goal to be a key player in that building phase structure, if you want. We saw high intensity, high pressing, high counter-pressing. It's probably easier to tell your Strasbourg boys to run and run and run forever for 90 minutes than it is easy to say to Enzo Fernandez or Cole Palmer or players like that. I get that. But I think that was the principles of Rosenior in France.
I'm hoping that he gives the players some freedom, because I think one of my criticisms of Maresca is he was so negative, so restrictive. He was a player like Cole Palmer. You saw he was much better under Pochettino. He's a player that needs to be free, not restricted to one position necessarily. And I'm hoping that he'll have a better man management than Maresca.
Yeah, I think you're right. I certainly what I was told last night when it was pretty much official was that he wanted to give some of the freedom back, that he wanted to simplify maybe some of that structure that Maresca had. You're right, quite rigid, whether it's a full positional play or not exactly that. I'm not sure if we would see, for example, a Malo Gusto coming a lot into that midfield. That's not what he did certainly at Strasbourg. There was no inverted fullbacks, for example, or even wingbacks, inverted wingbacks that he used to at Strasbourg. So I think there will be some of that freedom. I think he understands that. He also understands that his qualities as a man manager, because that's what he was. Those young players at Strasbourg loved working with him. He loved the club, he loved his squad, but the players really, really loved him. They loved working with him. He was such an inspiring manager in his team talks, even with the barrier of the language. It was still, I think, very, very inspiring to have him as a coach in that dressing room in Strasbourg. It'd be the same as at Chelsea. They're better players. They're more experienced. They've got better CVs for sure. But I think that relationship that he had in Strasbourg, he will have it with the Chelsea dressing room for sure. And I think, more interestingly, they will play attacking football because that's what he does. And the other thing that I think the Chelsea ownership really liked is how much he's improved individually, those players at Strasbourg. If you look at Valentin Barco, for example, who we saw briefly, albeit at Brighton, but the plays that he made of him at Strasbourg was exceptional.
We did mention Emmanuel Omega, you mentioned just now. Apparently, he's been suspended by Strasbourg because he threw a water bottle at Liam Rosenior. So he's got some making up to do, George.
Yeah, a little bit. Let's say he's got a very strong personality, boys.
Right.
And, he speaks his mind, and that's certainly what happened in this case, where the press asked him, the media asked him after one game, like, okay, this was great today, but what happened when Strasbourg didn't beat or drew with PSG or lost to Marseille or lost to Monaco? He said, well, it's easy, I wasn't there. I was not in the team. So he's the one that you could call it a bit arrogant for sure, but he's certainly very confident in his own ability and how much he can bring to the team, to any team, really. He's got that kind of personalities, and that cost him there a little bit, but he's a really good player. Let's not make a mistake here. Yes, his attitude could be better sometimes, but he's a hell of a player.
And just finally, from Strasbourg's point of view, we're hearing that Gary O'Neill is in the box seat. Will Still's been mentioned, who's obviously had success in France with a couple of clubs. So what's the latest there?
Yeah, them two, Paul, Gary O'Neill, and we're still, from what I was told, are the two favourites on that short list. You've got people like even Callum McFarlane, who, as we saw, the interim coach for the City game with Chelsea, did a really good job. He's highly rated at Chelsea, maybe a little bit too early to get a job like this. But I think they will go for somebody definitely who can understand the structure. And again, it's a similar structure to Chelsea, where you work with what you're given. You don't really have much of an input in what happens like a normal manager would have. But a young coach with bright ideas, with a lot of energy, that can still take this Strasbourg team forward. Because right now, as we said, they're halfway through a very promising season.
Yeah. Jules, thanks as always. Take care.
Thank you, boys. Cheers.
Julian, they're on their French football.
McFarlane will get the job, and then Rosenior will be sacked, and then he'll come in.
Yeah. Well, McFarlane's taking the team tomorrow night.
Yeah, I was impressed with him the other day, and yeah, I thought he did a good job, really, in difficult circumstances.
It was an interesting game, wasn't it? You always felt it was a bit like our game as well. You always felt City needed that second goal.
They did.
So you came on strong because, like Sunderland against us, you get buoyed by the fact that you think, OK, they haven't scored that goal, and a second goal probably would have done for you.
Oh, yeah, they were definitely. And they were playing to hang on for a 1-0, and it cost them.
It certainly did. Anyway, all the games for you this week on talkSPORT, and we're going to hear from the managers. There's been about 7-8 press conferences today. So, and in Drive at 5, I'm sure Andy Goldstein will be interested to hear what Darren Fletcher's got to say. The interim boss of Manchester United, he's going to be chatting to the press at 5 o'clock, and you'll have all the fallout in Drive. We'll get the news headlines for you next.
Another in through the door at Chelsea, another on a long-term contract. This time it's the manager, though. Liam Rosenior joins from Strasbourg on a 5.5-year deal, keeping it in the Blue Coat family. He spoke to the press in France before the announcement this morning.
I was given permission to speak to one of the biggest football clubs in the world, who are Club World Cup champions. It's an honour for me to be associated with a club like that. And now, on this day, it looks like I'm going to be the next manager of that football club.
He's ruffled the feathers of a few of the Strasbourg fans, though. I mean, they're probably more irked by Blue Coat itself, saying it's another humiliating step in their subservience to Chelsea. Simon Jordan's told him, pipe down.
They've been sucked the life out of. Chelsea ownership, Blue Coat, has come in there and given them nothing. then they can have that position. And I'd be quite happy to be corrected, but I'm willing to wager you, looking at the recent financial history of Strasbourg, they've had their own difficulties and their own challenges as a football club, which hasn't been propped up by the fans.
Elsewhere, West Brom have sacked Ryan Mason. Lee Carsley's an early favourite to replace him. And Martin O'Neill's back in place at Celtic. He's exclusively told us he couldn't turn it down.
Very difficult to say no to the man who put me in charge way back 25 years ago. You mentioned hesitation. Hesitation in the sense, you know what I mean. That the hesitation is whether you can come back again and win some games. But that'll always be the case.
Get more from that chat on talksport.com.
$26K for 2026 on talkSPORT.
Yes, only a few more days left for your chance to win £26,000 at 12 p.m. This Friday. We'll be calling one lucky winner with a guaranteed payment made that day. So don't miss your chance at 26K for 2026. Here's how to enter, Andy.
Yes, for your chance to win, text WIN to 83338. Text costs £2.50 plus your standard network rate. Or call 0343 423 9761. Lines close 12 p.m. Friday. That's when you'll need to answer your phone if it rings. No point answering if it doesn't ring, is there really? UK residents only, 18 plus. This is a network promotion. Full T's and C's at talksport.com/win. So for your chance to win, text WIN, W-I-N, to 83338 now, and good luck.
Good luck. Yes, indeed. So we turn to the Ashes then. And this succession of drop catches
do we have to?
and bad bowling has put England behind the 8-ball once again in Sydney.
Dismal. You think after winning they might have... honestly, I think yesterday and the day before, as bad as the whole series. Some of the fielding and some of the bowling. I mean, it's like they're not being directed. It's been a really weird tour.
Steve Harmison's watched it all unfold, former England fast bowler. Hi, Harmy.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. Yes, it has been a weird tour. It's been a weird tour of very little quality, I think. I had the Newcastle Crystal Palace game the other night, and it was a good game of very little quality as well. So I think it must be me.
It's not you. I don't know. I mean, you can tell. I think from Ben Stokes' demeanour, I think he's had enough of this, hasn't he? And, he lost it with Labuschagne, which is not surprising. I think he must be... I mean, for John Etheridge to describe him as puerile and irritating, for him to say that, there must be something in it.
Yeah, I mean, it would be... I say, coming from a group, a bowler that played in a very, very fine group of fast bowlers, I would enjoy bowling at Marnus, I must admit. I think there's quite a few of us wouldn't mind bowling at Marnus, because I think we bowl him a little bit different to what the England team are bowling at him at this moment in time. But fair play to him. He's a character. He's somebody who likes to rub the opposition up the wrong way. And if he's on top, I mean, you can't really have a go too much. I think there's more things to worry about from England's point of view as Marnus, Labuschagne. But I think there's quite a few fast bowlers out there above sort of 6'3", 6'4", and 90 mile an hour would enjoy bowling and putting Marnus in his place and having a chance of putting him in his place. But England have dropped 16 catches on this tour. We come back to the fact that right at the very start we talk about the preparation side of it. All different things. The bowlers have been underdone. None more evident than Matt Potts. I feel sorry for the kid. He's from Durham, and he looked as though he hadn't played cricket for a hell of a long time. He had a lot of overs in the summer, and he's bowled 50 overs since he's been out there, but nothing compared to facing Travis Head on a good pitch in Sydney in front of 50,000 people. And we were put to the sword. And when you drop catches, you've got to have a great day in the field to back your bowlers up, and England have had neither, to be fair.
Yeah. It's hard to see McCullum surviving this. I mean, you know, they seem, he's so laissez-faire. They seem to be, there are some coaches that sort of have this belief, they just let the players get on with it. They've got the talent to be, they just we don't have to tell them what to do. We don't need a fielding coach. We don't need any of that. I'm not sure that's worked. It worked a little bit in the beginning, but it doesn't seem to be working. It hasn't worked on this tour.
No, it hasn't worked on this tour. I think this tour has been the sort of, I think the final nail in, unfortunately, the way this team has gone about its business over the course of the McCullum and Stokes era. It was brilliant for 2 years. It was always going to come up against, the couple of speed bumps that was in the road on the horizon, in India away, Australia away, India at home, and Australia at home. And England haven't been good enough against them sides. They've had batters who have been averaging between 30 and 35 in Test match cricket and being loyal to them. But a spin bowler which they've carried for a long period of time and obviously not played him. So there's a lot of things in, I think, the McCullum. There's people calling it a cult. I don't want to call it a cult, but I think when you look at the way Brendan goes about his job, I think he is the perfect coach for a senior group, like a group that's mid-30s, a bit like a group that Australia have got. 30-somethings, very talented, who don't really need a great deal of coaching. They just need a bit of guidance to keep on the track. And unfortunately, we've only got one. We've got one world-class batter. We've got an exceptional captain. Our bowlers can't put, apart from Bryden Carse, is the only one that's put games together. And I think the telling one was yesterday. I don't know if you heard it, Andy, because I know how much you love your cricket. But did you hear the interview with Joe Root last night about
defending Jamie Smith?
No, not defending Jamie Smith. If you can find it, it was on TNT. It was a conversation with Sir Alistair Cook and Justin Langer. About 5.5 minutes long. It's enthralling. It was brilliant. It was the art of batting. And it was batting in Test match cricket. It was the way you play cricket. And Justin Langer was asking him about, I think his question was, what two things would you take away from the innings you just had? And Joe went on to a 4 or 5 minute chat about how he plays on different surfaces against different bowlers in Test match cricket, where he is at his body and where his hands are and stuff like that. It was brilliant. It was fantastic. And I felt like going, right, you know what? Any young cricketer, clip that up and put that and watch it if you want. But I also thought, you know what? Just put that in the dressing room. See if any of them will listen to this, because, 15 people have either got it right and Joe's got it wrong. The bloke with 13,500 runs has got it right, because the way he was speaking about the art of batting, there's not many in that England team have either listened to him or take after the great player.
It's been interesting, though, that the two players who seem to have really come in for it, Harry Brook and Jamie Smith, both have been... I've never seen batsmen so criticised. Maybe people are right. They have got out to some fairly stupid shots, haven't they?
They have, yeah. They have getting out to some silly shots. I think the Harry Brook one, I'd be more critical of Harry than I would be with Jamie. Jamie's... He's a young lad. What is he, 21, 22? He's probably going to need some rebuilding after this tour. He's not playing white ball cricket. He's been a whirlwind over the course of the last 18 months. He came into the England team, did really, really well. Do you know what? I'm going to I'll make a statement and say Jamie Smith will be an England player when he's 30 and a very, very good international player when he's 30. But I think he might have to take a step back to come back again, because there's talent there. I just think there's been a lot on that boy's plate, and whether the criticism has getting to him, because Matt Pryor was criticising him about his energy and coming up to the stumps and all that stuff. I still think he's learning. There's a good player in there, and I just think we have to try and somehow get the best out of him. Harry, well, there's a point, a bit like the Peterson times. There's a point where this is how I play is not going to wash anymore.
Yeah. And finally, on this game, we go into day 4 then, 134 runs ahead, the Aussies. And let's be optimistic. Let's say we get them all out for 175. Would you like to see England go out there and grind it out for 2 days and get a draw?
I don't think they've got it in them. To be honest, Paul, I don't think they've got it in them. I think Andy might have one more rant left in him on this Ashes tour. That could be tomorrow afternoon. England look shot. They do, unfortunately. They look shot. I'd like to see them come out and have a go again. Just if you live by the sword, you die by the sword. If they're 150 behind, you take the score bet out of the equation, play the way you play. That's naturally given to you the game that you've got, and see where you are at the end of the third innings. England will have been in the field if they get to that point for over 140 overs, and mistakes will be made. And unfortunately, I can only see one outcome here, possibly end of day 4 or early into the day 5 that Australia go 4-1 up and deservedly keep the Ashes in Australia.
Shame.
It is a shame. Harmy, we'll catch up with you soon. Thanks very much.
Cheers, boys.
And you can reflect on the day 4 play with Harmy and Sam or John on the Following On podcast, the cricket YouTube channel as well, straight after play. So, good news in Scotland today. We read that they're going to get a bank holiday on the Monday after the Haiti game, which is at 2:00 in the morning.
Yeah.
So everybody's going to get the day off the following day.
It says here in
to lick their wounds after the 1-0 defeat.
The cost of the day off to Scottish economy is likely to be hundreds of millions of pounds. Oh, don't worry about it.
Let's see what the Tartan Army make about it. Our old mate Ali Ross will be popping in. We're here with our very good friends at Tool Station, of course. Pick up your wet weather essentials today. Next stop, Tool Station.
Hello and welcome to talkSPORT Goals. We've been taking you through what should be another busy day of football.
Chance to win it!
We don't need to do that, guys.
I'm going to owe you an apology.
How would you get to that conclusion? That's a weak mentality.
Oh, get out of it.
Well, great news for Scotland fans up in Scotland, certainly. A national bank holiday after the first World Cup fixture. John Swinney, the First Minister, has said he is proposing that Monday the 15th of June will be a bank holiday, allowing people to stay up to the wee small hours to watch Scotland's opening World Cup game against Haiti.
Hard staying. Ali Ross has joined us, of course.
He's going to be there, of course. He'll be in the ground, so it's not a problem for
I'm
you.
all booked up.
Yeah.
I've just got to get a ticket for the game. That's the thing.
Is that proving difficult?
Only 1,000 of your Scottish pounds.
Yeah.
I paid 800 quid to see us lose 5-1 to Germany, so everything will be an improvement on that. You would hope.
Yes.
If we lose 6-1 to Haiti, then...
No, I mean...
I can't see them losing to
meaningful.
I mean, they said that about Costa Rica, I remind you.
Yeah.
I mean, the likelihood is that Scotland will lose 1-0 to Haiti and then beat Brazil.
I want us to think we hate Haiti.
But what do you... I mean, it's...
I'm always a bit dubious when politicians get involved in this sort of stunt, and I assume the worst.
Yeah.
And I think... There's so many excuses for being lazy in modern Britain. We don't really need another one. And if you're any sort of fan, you will be out there.
Well, that's pushing it a
That's
bit.
a bit harsh. It's very expensive for people.
So it's a 2 a.m. kickoff.
It is, yeah.
So are they talking about opening the pubs up and staying open till sort of 6 in the morning?
Apparently so, yeah.
It's going to be quite the party, isn't it, up there?
I was at the Denmark, the famous Denmark game, and I got back to my hotel about 2 in the morning, I think. I finally found somewhere. And there was a guy sort of swaying around still in the bar opposite Central Station. People from Glasgow will know where I am.
Yeah.
But I had to get up for, I think
Wasn't
it was...
Derek, was it?
So it's a bit of an in-joke. Yeah.
I had to get up for a 7 o'clock flight. So I got up about 5, and the same guy was still swaying around outside. Been there for the night.
Wow. So tickets are proving difficult to come by.
I won't know until February the 4th. I am down for talkSPORT's allocation.
Oh, right. Really?
I hope you don't mind, but I will give Andy a name check in the paper on Friday.
Don't say you're Andy Jacobs, otherwise I won't let you in. Yeah. So the sort of logistics of planning a trip to the World Cup to follow Scotland, how's it been? You did a lot of groundwork before.
As soon as the draw was made, I booked the hotels and the flights. And the flight I've got out, I think, has gone up by about £1,000 since then. So we have got to get from Boston to Miami, which...
Not that far.
Not that far.
No.
We
were thinking of driving it, and then it just felt like insanity. So we've just got an internal flight.
It depends how much time you got. It's a nice drive.
We got 4 days. So we could have done it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want me to look it up for you?
Yeah, we're just...
Could you, Andy? TripAdvisor.
So you got a hell of a trip down there. Oh, it's lovely down there.
Some of the guys are doing that. They're stopping off in Washington and Carolina.
Yeah.
But I've seen them drive, so I thought I'd fly.
Oh, yeah. Fair enough. Now, domestically, it's all been going on. Earlier on, Jim and Simon had their old mate Martin O'Neill, who's got a regular gig with us here at talkSPORT every week. But he's...
Well, he did.
Well, exactly. At 73, he's a man in demand. This is what he had to say after being called in once again to take over after Wilfred Nancy's sack.
Celtic Park.
Well, that was a great clip, wasn't it?
I know what happened there. Yes. Martin's lost the accent, hasn't he?
Referring to himself in the third person.
He's become very arrogant all of a sudden.
Has anyone in any walk of life ever done a worse job than Wilfred Nancy?
Oh, I've done 03717.
I mean, he came in, he lost virtually every game, and then he's left.
Rangers had their own go at being the worst.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
It reminds me of that
a hell of a
episode.
season for that.
Well, remember that episode of Some Mothers Do Have 'Em, when he goes to fix a bloke's boiler, and then they do a shot of the house, and it blows up. The house blows up, and then he comes out and he says, "Well, that's the best I can do for you at the moment." And that was Wilfred Nancy's 8 games, wasn't it? Really, that was Wilfred Nancy's 8 games.
33 days. It's incredible.
I mean, you're going through it after a good start, Aberdeen. Your manager's gone after a terrible run. So
but at least he had a good period, didn't he?
Yes, he
won
did.
A few games at the start. Anyone can do that. It's keeping it going.
But I mean, we had talking to Ray Bradshaw the other week, who was a Partick fan, and he said, if you're not a fan of the old firm, you love all this crazy.
Oh, tremendous! Yeah, it's made it interesting.
Yeah.
It's given Hearts a 6-point lead. Motherwell looked like world beaters.
Not afraid.
Often I've come on here in this show and said that, is it?
Not afraid.
A lot of people have said
what went wrong for your manager then? Because you spoke to us earlier in the season when it was all going rather well for him and for Aberdeen, but so why did it all just fall off a cliff?
It tends to. We lost a few players to transfer and injury, and the recruitment hasn't been that great. And the worst of it was the European campaign. Now that competition is the classic, even the fat kid wins a prize. We finished 35th out of 36 teams.
Dear.
One friend actually said 3 of those countries haven't even got electricity yet. You know? for a club like Aberdeen to finish 35th out of 36, and God knows what's happened at Vienne, who finished below us.
Yeah. Things are bad at Vienne. Yeah. And Wilfred Nancy's taking over there, so I think things are about to pick up. And I thought Columbus Crew were a boy band until you joined, didn't you?
Well, they should be.
Yeah.
Maybe they are. Maybe,
of course not.
Maybe that's where the recruitment went completely haywire.
So, coming to your day job, I've noticed there's been a lot of criticism.
Ali, we should point. We've just brought Ali in, but he's a regular guest. But Ali, if you've just joined us, writes a fantastic column every week in the Sun, a TV column where he gets.
Paul likes to assume that we've got a lot of new listeners.
Well, I don't know.
You never know.
Yeah, you never
It's
know.
possible.
We might still be. Well, the figures suggest we're growing the audience.
Yes. For all of you that don't know, this is Ali Ross.
This is, yes. So, telly-wise,
Christmas
yes.
TV gets so much criticism.
Bad, wasn't it? It used to be the most important point of the year for me, because there would always be a big event, whether it was The Office or something like that. Even Gavin and Stacey was the last sort of hurrah.
Yeah.
But eventually I decided I'm knocking my pan in here for a bunch of repeats and call the midwife. No one wants to do that.
No.
So I resorted to the review of the year about 10 years ago and never regretted it or thought I was missing out on
they've kicked off the new year with a few TV events, including, and I've not watched it before, but I've been told I have to watch it, and I'm watching Traitors this time around, The Traitors.
Yeah.
And I mean,
I can't be bothered. I don't like all
the celebrity version.
No, that's very true of you.
I only like the celebrity.
But it's strangely compelling. You do sense some of the contestants in there tried out for The Apprentice and didn't get in. Yes. There is that feel of a few, isn't there? Really?
Yeah. I think it will hit a point where a celebrity version and a civilian one is just too much.
Yeah.
And one of them will have to go, and you would imagine it would be the civilian one. But it's riding high. It got more viewers than the celebrity version, the first episode.
I think the celebrity one has given it that springboard. People are wondering.
That was the
a bit like
event of last year.
It certainly was.
Yeah.
It was cast brilliantly. And you can see celebrity, whenever they mention it on telly or Good Morning Britain, they're all jockeying to be on it now. Because they can see it's 40 grand and no downside to that.
Yeah.
At all.
I think it's very hard in TV now. I mean, I like a particular program called Here We Go. I don't know if you've seen that show.
Yeah. It's a sitcom, yeah.
Brilliant. No one talks about it. No one has ever seen it. I mean, obviously they do because they're on their 3rd or 4th series.
Yeah.
I think it's harder now to have a hit, to have something that people...
Well, because there's so many options, aren't there, really? You can do so much. So, Ali, we wish you well on your quest for tickets.
Thank you.
And let's see what happens with that bank holiday. It's not official yet, is it? I don't believe. Or is it official? Has it been rubber stamped?
It sounded like it was happening.
Right, okay.
They'll struggle to backtrack from
Yeah, I think they will.
Yeah.
So fancy. All those pubs open till... it might be worth going up, mightn't it? Let's do a show from there, as Alan used to say.
Well, it could be good, actually.
Overnights. talkSPORT overnights.
Boston.
Maybe.
Surely Boston's the place to be.
Yeah, no. Where's that pub near our mate's place? Is, what's it called?
In Glasgow.
Yeah, the Tenants pub
in
the West End. Yeah. We'll go in there. We'll broadcast.
Tenants on Byers Road.
We'll broadcast from there. We'll do it there. That's a nice pub. Anyway, Ali, Happy New Year.
And Paul Ross, I can see.
That's it. That's it. Happy New Year, and we'll catch up with you in the build-up to the World Cup. Thanks very much.
Look forward to it.
Here we are, Ali Ross there with the domestic and international Scottish football. Still to come. We're here from the Gaffer's Head of a big week of midweek programme of games, and we're going to bring them all to you here on talkSPORT, kicking off tonight with a real doozy, a 6-pointer, although the manager is playing that down. He's playing that down. But anyway, West Ham certainly need to win, and Matt Jarvis joins us for a chat about that a little bit later on.
talkSPORT Sports Update, powered by the Nissan Van range. Scoring a winning hat-trick of performance, payload and price. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van Centre.
Good afternoon, I'm Max Scott here with your sports headlines. Strasbourg fans have expressed their deep frustration at their club's humiliating subservience to Chelsea. Liam Rosenior's left the French club to join the Blues on a 5.5-year deal. And while Rosenior says Strasbourg will always be in his heart, he says he couldn't turn down the opportunity to manage Chelsea and return to his family in England.
It means I can go home and see my kids. I'm away from my children. I've missed them, and I wanted to make the sacrifice of not seeing them worth it with the success that we have here.
talkSPORT understands Gary O'Neill has agreed to replace Rosenior at Strasbourg, with contract details being finalised as we speak. Now, with Martin O'Neill returning for the second time this season to Celtic, he's spoken exclusively to us at talkSPORT about the ambitions for this season. And while he's not been told he has to win the league, he does expect reinforcements in this January transfer window.
I think that we would have to supplement the squad in some capacity. We would have to do that there if it's at all possible. Of course, we all know that January transfer windows are difficult to get the players that you'd probably want to the football club. But we do need to supplement it, and we're going all out to try and do that.
Celtic are 6 points off league leaders Hearts. Antoine Semenyo's release clause deadline might be drawing ever closer, but our chief football correspondent Alex Crook says he's confident of his move to Man City getting over the line.
The contract is still being finalised, I think, with the agents and the lawyers, but it will be the end of a long farewell for Semenyo against Tottenham tomorrow.
Elsewhere, Pep Guardiola has confirmed Ruben Diaz will be out for 4 to 6 weeks with a hamstring injury, while Josko Gvardiol will face an extended period on the sidelines, having suffered a broken shin bone. And we expect Johnny Evans to join Darren Fletcher on the touchline as he takes interim charge of Manchester United in their clash with Burnley, which is live exclusively on talkSPORT tomorrow night.
talkSPORT News.
Storm Goretti hits the UK tomorrow and could bring 20 centimetres of snow in some places, and European leaders have rallied behind Greenland after Donald Trump insisted he's very serious about taking the Danish territory.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. For a limited time only, get 15% off a set of 4 selected premium tyres. Don't miss out and book today at quickfit.com and drive away happy every time. Conditions apply.
Rain, sleet and snow moves in from the northwest today, with heavy and persistent snow affecting parts of Scotland, sunny spells and wintry showers elsewhere.
Hello and welcome to talkSPORT Goals. We've been taking you through what should be another busy day of football.
Chance to win it!
We don't need to do that, guys.
I'm going to owe you an apology.
Good afternoon, Paul Hawksbee and Andy Jacobs here on talkSPORT. Max will be back in his role as a big Nottingham Forest fan to talk about tonight's game at the London Stadium. Matt Jarvis joining us for a chat as well.
Yes, there's a lot of nerves in the office with West Ham.
Yeah, we got a few West Ham fans very nervy because it does really feel like a must-win, as the guys were saying earlier on, Jim and Simon. Like, wouldn't that be 7 points behind? That's a lot of ground.
I'm quite shocked about it. You know, I think Nuno's a good manager. Maybe it's just the players. I mean, that performance on the weekend was beyond, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a shocker. They've got a couple of new strikers in the window, and we'll find out a bit more about them from Kevin Hatchard later in the show, European football expert, looking at some of the transfer deals that could be done over the next week or so. But he had to talk a bit of Manchester United. He popped in and saw us in the studio a while back. He's on tour in the UK and Ireland this year from the 12th of March. It is comedian Shane Todd. Hi, Shane.
Hi, Paul. Hi, Andy. How are you?
Yeah, we're good, thank you. Yeah. We're good. I'll tell you what, we'll come on to the football in a minute because there's been enough going on at your club. But tell us a bit more about the tour.
Yeah, it's creeping up. So it's this week in Ireland. The show's called Hold Me Back. A little bit of football in there, not too much, but there's 5-6 minutes about my current amateur football career, which at the age of 37, I'm starting to think. I was going to say I'm starting to think I might not go pro, but with this United team at the minute, I don't know. I think maybe put me at the back and see what happens.
Unlike United, you're in Europe, aren't you? At the moment, you got a load of gigs coming up: Lisbon, Barcelona, Paris, Berlin, Zurich, Amsterdam. Blimey, you're getting around.
Yeah, and some people have said, some naysayers have said that those dates are booked to, facilitate me going to football matches, and that's absurd. I told you guys last time I'm playing a 70-seater in Lisbon. I sold 12 tickets last time. I want to update you. We've sold 22. So there you go.
That's not bad.
It's almost worth going. Is your plan to try and take in a game in all the cities if you can? Because you've got to, you haven't got a lot of time between Lisbon and Barcelona, but you're going to try and take in a game?
I think so. We did a gig in Barcelona last month, and in their sort of temporary stadium we got to go to, which obviously is nothing like the new camp. So I'm hoping to get to go to the new camp.
Yeah, that'd be good. You've got a hit podcast as well. I was reading here, Tea with Me. How's that work? What's in that?
Yeah, so it is literally just that. It's me sitting down with guests, having a cup of tea, having a bit of a kind of relaxed chat, and I fluked my way having some absolutely massive names on it. So when people come to Belfast for shows, we sort of try and get them to come over and spend an hour with us and have a cup of tea. So that's been great.
You supported Kevin Hart on his tour, didn't you? So have you had him on the podcast?
Well, I did. It's mad. He was over in Belfast for 3 months to shoot a movie, and he wanted to do a load of shows. When he was there to get ready for a big Netflix special he was doing, I did 24 shows with him.
Wow!
And I met him twice for a combined maybe 4 minutes. I was a human decoy to get him in. I was a human decoy to get him into the venue. So when I start, this is genuine. Like when I started my set, they would bring him in a security door so the audience weren't hanging around trying to kind of bother him. So I was his human shield.
Wow.
Stroke board act.
Oh, well, fair enough.
He came in and saw you were off. That was me and Sam Delaney. He came in and saw us. He was on good form. He was good fun, actually. I mean, you were with
about
him.
my height, isn't he?
Yeah, he is.
Good, yeah.
I mean, we were with him for 15 minutes, so we've top trumped you there. That's very strange.
Yeah.
So, the thorny issue of your club, Manchester United, is pretty mad. How did you feel when you probably weren't surprised in like what he'd said at the weekend. How did you feel when the news come through that Amorim had gone?
I wasn't surprised, and I shouldn't be as a United fan, considering the amount of drama around managers in the last over a decade. But I kind of did like him. I kind of like the guy. Despite his win ratio and inability to change anything at all when we were losing loads of games, there was something about him, a kind of stubbornness. I kind of liked, and it just seems this week there's been so many sackings and resignations, and I kind of do love the drama of football. I love the soap opera of it. So I've been enjoying the merry-go-round in a way, but I was shocked. I knew when he gave that interview that it was probably curtains for him there, but it's just got to that point, I suppose, as a fan, where I'm going, well, who comes in? I think when Ferguson left, when Moyes went, you could have picked anyone really to come to United. Whereas now, I think we might be looking for Wilfred Nancy's phone number.
There's not a lot of names out there currently you could think of who could come in short term, which makes you wonder. I mean, Max was just saying, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has expressed an interest in coming back, but I don't know. You kind of feel maybe Darren Fletcher, if he does all right, to see you through to the end of the season. And then, look who's on the market then after the World Cup, potentially.
Yeah, I kind of look at Ole and I think he is such a kind face. I'm like the guy, and he's a club legend. I'm like, he's been through enough. We'll put him through enough. Let's just let him keep having a rest. I'd be a big fan of just going all in for, and I was never for this a few years ago, but I just think let's get the band back together. I mean, I would love, I think it's fanciful. I don't think it would happen. I would love Roy Keane to come in, and I know there's this sort of myth of he would come in and sort it all out. I think it'd be far easier said than done, but I would just roll the dice. I would get Kane in, Scholes, Brucey, anybody and anyone who has any past connection with the club would be more than well. I want to double the size of the dugout and just get Cantona, get everybody back.
All of them, all the
just line of legends, all just sitting there on the bench. Yeah, that would be fun.
Get Sharp for UCAN back on the shirts, flying wingers. I just in all this with Darren Fletcher there. I really like that Johnny Evans is back to his system, but I think Johnny, apart from Ruben Amorim, Johnny Evans is the big casualty in all this, because the guy's tried to leave Man United about 4 times and it just never happens for. He always gets, I don't know what we have on him, but he always gets dragged back in. I wouldn't rule out him playing. I think he's done this a couple of times where he just wants to retire, but we just need him to come back.
From what we hear, Darren Fletcher's under-18s play quite old school Fergie, don't they? Flying wingers, and they're very exciting to watch. So, and he's both his boys are involved. They could be involved in the squad for the next game.
His two sons, if he has any nephews, if he has any uncles, anybody that he wants to bring, we should look at them. Yeah, I think that's what I wanted with Ruben Amorim was just attractive football, and I guess so many fans of different clubs at the minute who aren't doing well would just love to see them have a go a bit more. And I don't think the answer is just. I think everyone's thought if we play this back four, magically everything's going to be all right at Man United. It probably isn't, but I think we all would appreciate more of an attacking style, and not 4-4-2, but just that nostalgia we all paying for, flying wingers and crosses going into the box and all that kind of stuff.
I mean, the nature of the league at the moment is, whoever comes in with a couple of decent results, Manchester United are right up.
They definitely can be top four, there's no question. You just need to put a run together. Any team in that group, that mediocre group between 4th and 14th.
It's true, there's not a lot between the teams. 10 teams within 4th and 4th. Probably more than that, isn't it? I mean, it's a weird old league, isn't it, Shane?
Yeah, and it just takes one result for you to think that the revolution's on, the comeback's on. Like, I'm sure we'll beat Burnley 2-1 here tomorrow, and everyone will think, the Champions League, like 99's back on, but the treble's on. But it takes nothing. Like Chelsea, we're obviously doing actually all right in the league as well. And Maresca's gone. I think at the start of the season, I think I'd have been happy with top 6. I'd probably been happy with top half if, as was said earlier, it was nice football, it was positive, and we were having a go. But I think with an interim manager who gets the club, I hate that phrase, but I've just used it. I think anything could happen. I think, it wouldn't take a lot to qualify for Europe this year.
Yeah, Gary Neville said that. We want someone with the kind of club's DNA.
The trouble is, you've got this thing that you had with Solskjaer, which is you bring them in temporary, they do really well, then you give them the big job. You actually commit to them, and then it's a different story. So, that could happen again. But look, obviously, he could also be a big success. So.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens.
I would also be delighted with if Martin O'Neill fancied a job share. Maybe we could Celtic. That would be, if he could do half the week with them, half with us, that'd be great.
I mean, he's pretty sprightly, Martin. He comes in with Jim and Simon. We see him every week, but I mean, that might be pushing it a bit. So yeah. Cheers, Shane. All the best with the tour. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much, guys.
Shane, Hold Me Back. His tour for 26 UK and Ireland. 19 dates from the 12th of March to Friday the 14th of April. And if you're out and about in Europe next month, you'll catch him there as well. So, still to come, as we said, we'll look ahead to the big game tonight between West Ham and Forest, which we'll bring you live on talkSPORT. We're going to talk a bit of F1 later on. The rule changes have been announced. Some of them are a bit technical, and there's new drivers and a new team. So there's stuff to talk about with James Allen, F1 correspondent from motorsport.com. And we'll hear from the managers ahead of all the big games this week. We're here with Toolstation. Get winter ready with heating and insulation essentials. Next stop, Toolstation.
and welcome to talkSPORT Goals. We're taking you through what should be another busy day of football.
Chance to win it! Oh!
We don't need to do that, guys.
I'm going to owe you an apology.
How would you get to that conclusion?
That's a weak mentality.
Oh, get out of it.
Good afternoon, Paul Hawksbee, Andy Jacobs here on talkSPORT. I think it's fair to say that we've all probably overindulged a little bit over Christmas and may need to shift a little bit of timber. Andy, is that the case for you or not?
Yeah, very much so, yeah.
So, we tend to have a bit of an annual chat with our next guest because they do fine work and you could maybe shed a few pounds and have a good time in the process. We were reading over Christmas about a guy called George Ferrari. He's 26 years old. He felt he was eating himself into an early grave. But he joined Man v Fat Football in 2023 and has shed half his body weight. And he thinks saved his life. Joining us now, as we said, as he often does every year, to pop in and tell us more about what they do, Richard Crick from Man v Fat. Hi, Richard.
Hi, guys. Nice to see you and thanks for having us back.
What a story, though, for George. I mean, tell us a little bit more about him.
Yeah, incredible individual. So, I mean, that was down at our Boreham Wood Club, which is done with Boreham Wood FC. We work with quite a few of the non-league and EFL football clubs who sort of get involved with helping to run the clubs. 50% of his body weight for George. So he was, I think, 38, 39 stone when he started. And he's done just phenomenally well. And around the time where, as you've already alluded to, it's a very, very difficult time of year to lose weight, to be disciplined. We all know it's pretty brutally cold out there today.
Yeah.
So going and playing football, putting in the effort at that time of year in particular is just such an incredible achievement.
So take us right back to basics. What do Man v Fat do?
Yeah, so essentially we are a men's health and wellbeing organisation. We are, as men, typically not great at engaging with local health services. So we're out there really to try and bridge that gap a little bit and get guys involved in making some life changes, predominantly around weight loss, but we often see that some of the biggest impact is mental health, mental health side as well, people finding their community, finding new friends.
There's nothing like team sports for that. It's the best thing for that.
100%. And the nice thing about what we do is that we put you into a team. So you don't have to go and find a team.
Yeah.
We will actually put you into a Man v Fat football club. It could be someone like Parmesan Belgrade, Cholesterol Palace. The team names are always absolutely incredible that the guys come up with. But we sign them up, we put them into those teams, but they weigh in before they play. For every 2 guys who lose weight, you get an additional goal on the pitch. So that team aspect that you were talking about, Andy, is so important because, as men, we're not particularly selfish with our own health, but when it affects the team, we make sure that we make that difference.
When they first start, I'd imagine it must be quite hard. If you've gone from being massively overweight, sitting around to suddenly running about, I presume there's some period of transition.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, a lot of these guys haven't played football in 5, 10, maybe 15 years. Some of the guys actually might have been playing relatively recently, but found they maybe weren't getting into the teams that they wanted to be, or that they've had a change of circumstances, and that actually Man v Fat football and Man v Fat rugby as well was a bit more aligned to what they want to do. And I think the nice thing about it is that we have got guys like George who have started with us on nearly 40 stone. But actually, we've also got guys who are just a couple of stone overweight. And actually, we try our best to try and even up those teams. So you've got the bigger guys, the younger guys, the older guys. We see a lot of lads and dads as well. So, yeah, we do have a real mix of guys. So just because you're not the best footballer or you're not the youngest footballer, certainly doesn't mean that you can't be competitive.
I was going to ask about the format of the games, Richard. Just remind us, is it 11-a-side, 5-a-side? How does it work?
So it's small-sided football. So depending on the facility that we work from, we've got 150 of them across the UK. It basically depends on what format we can get in. So 5, 6 or 7-a-side football. A lot of these guys go on to create their own 11-a-side teams because they want more football. So often they will play against each other. You might have, the big rivalries of Norwich and Ipswich, Man v Fat playing against each other, Colchester, Chelmsford, all those type of things. But yeah, it's a week in, week out league format. So typically we have between 4 and 8 teams, squads of up to 10. And then the guys go out, play that match, and then obviously they find out the next day what impact their scale score has had, their tracking score, because we encourage them to do food and activity diaries. And every time they hit a 5% milestone, which is shown as significantly beneficial clinically for your health, we also give them another 3 goals as well.
I don't mean this in a facetious way, but have the numbers been affected by weight loss jabs? Is there any element of people pretending that they're losing weight in a normal way?
Yeah, so we're seeing or WW, for example, an organisation who are obviously focused around weight. You would find that only sort of 1 or 2 out of 10 in those organisations would be male because few and far between. But what we're finding is that the guys that value the community and the physical activity aspect, and if you're on those GLP-1 drugs, those weight loss drugs, and we do have a lot of guys who join the community because they're on those drugs, they are seeing benefits, but actually they want that physical activity aspect as well. They want to be in it with the team. Some people are very open about that, other people aren't. And ultimately it's up to those individuals. Obviously, if they share that information with the coach, then the coaches can give them a more informed support around diet, physical activity, what they should and shouldn't be doing with those drugs.
So you give them a bit of advice on diet as well, generally, the people?
Absolutely, yeah. So every Man v Fat football club has a coach, and that is a coach more in the health and well-being sense than it is in a football sense.
Yeah.
And those guys and girls are there to really support the men in whatever they want to do. So whether that's, holding them to account when they are having those more difficult times, giving them ideas around food swaps. We also give a lot of advice out around recipes, what best practice, what other guys are doing, where they've seen success. We've seen so many milestones from the guys that actually they often learn from themselves. So there's a lot of peer-to-peer support as well.
How many years that you've been, we've been speaking to you a good few years. You came in right at the very start. How many years is it now?
Yeah, so this is 12 years now. 12 years of Man v Fat.
That's impressive.
Yeah, Man v Fat, soccer and rugby will be 2 years old in the summer as well. So we've tried our best to breadth out to other guys who maybe aren't interested in what we would label as the beautiful game, but actually they have their own beautiful game in rugby or obviously soccer over in the US as well.
Yeah, I see that in the USA. Has it gone down well there?
Yeah, it's been really interesting because the guys are very similar in their nature in terms of that love for the game, the vibe of wanting to get involved and the competitive aspect, but the game is very different over there. European soccer, I would argue, is still king. It's really interesting what the USL are doing over there compared to the MLS, because obviously the MLS is a closed shop, whereas USL are looking at introducing promotion, relegation. Finding facilities over there is very different as well. We're obviously very, very fortunate here that we have a good number of turf facilities based around football specifically, but actually small-sided football or soccer facilities, as they would label them, are probably not quite as easy to come across.
Yeah. So if people wanted to get involved, if they're listening to this saying, yeah, I'd like to play a bit of football and maybe make some new mates and shed some weight as well, is there a minimum BMI that you ask?
There is, yeah. So 27.5 would be the minimum starting BMI. Aged over 18 and male, that is quite literally the only criteria if you want to get involved in our community. As I say, we have guys who are 18, we have guys who are in their 70s, we have guys who join as families. And we're probably within half an hour of almost every male within the UK. So there is a support mechanism for the guys. They can literally go onto the website, manvfat.com or manvfatfootball.org, pop their postcode in there. That will tell them their nearest Man v Fat football club, their nearest Man v Fat rugby club.
Excellent. And it's a sort of welcoming environment by the sound of it, that, because there's always that getting over that hump, thinking, I'm too big, I'm going to be too self-conscious, I don't want to do this. But,
yeah,
a lot of people have been in that situation, have overcome it, and people like George, it's been life transforming for them.
Absolutely, and that's why we call them clubs rather than leagues. Whilst you are competitively against other guys, everybody in your club wants you to do well. Sadly, suicide is still the biggest killer of men under 40 in the UK. We have a men's health strategy here in the UK now, which was launched in November. So it's great to see men's health getting under the microscope a little bit more because, as I said earlier on, we're absolutely stubborn when it comes to trying to do things around our own physical or mental health. The whole sort of setup of these clubs is to encourage guys to come along, try something different, and whether you are a good footballer or a terrible footballer, whether you're going to be playing for Spurs or Chelsea or Colchester United, of course.
Oh yeah, of course.
That's my beautiful team. We're doing all right at the moment. There's a playoff push. There's a playoff push under the Cowleys, so I'm hoping for good things. But very, very inclusive. We'd love to see more guys coming along and giving it a go. And you get a trial session with your sign up on registration as well. So if it isn't for you, you're not tied into a long-term monthly subscription or anything like that. If you feel like it isn't for you, you can just step away from it. But as I say, that very seldom happens.
Brilliant. Richard, good to see you again. Thanks very much for coming in.
Pleasure. Thanks.
There we are, Richard Crick there from Man v Fat. And if you've been thinking about giving it a go, then here's your opportunity. And said you can just try it. And if you don't like it, you're not going to be tied into a long deal. Just give it a go and get out there and enjoy yourself. It's Paul Hawksbee and Andy Jacobs here on talkSPORT.
Another in through the door at Chelsea, another on a long-term contract. This time it's the manager, though. Liam Rosenior joins from Strasbourg on a 5.5-year deal, keeping it in the Blue-Co family. He spoke to the press in France before the announcement this morning.
I was given permission to speak to one of the biggest football clubs in the world, who are Club World Cup champions. It's an honour for me to be associated with a club like that. And now, on this day, it looks like I'm going to be the next manager of that football club.
He's ruffled the feathers of a few of the Strasbourg fans, though. I mean, they're probably more irked by Blue-Co itself, saying it's another humiliating step in their subservience to Chelsea. Simon Jordan's told him, pipe down.
They've been sucked the life out of. Chelsea ownership, Blue-Co, has come in there and given them nothing. Then they can have that position. And I'd be quite happy to be corrected, but I'm willing to wager you, looking at the recent financial history of Strasbourg, they've had their own difficulties and their own challenges as a football club, which hasn't been propped up by the fans.
Elsewhere, West Brom have sacked Ryan Mason. Lee Carsley's an early favourite to replace him. And Martin O'Neill's back in place at Celtic. He's exclusively told us he couldn't turn it down.
Very difficult to say no to the man who put me in charge way back 25 years ago. You mentioned hesitation. Hesitation in the sense, you know what I mean. That the hesitation is whether you can come back again and win some games. But that'll always be the case.
Get more from that chat on talksport.com.
Transfer window. Breaking news on tour with Intuit QuickBooks. Tackle your self-assessment with Intuit QuickBooks. Search QuickBooks to find out more.
Yes, it's time now to get an update on the transfer window. And we're going to first kick off looking at a couple of players that have already signed for West Ham that I'm sure even the West Ham fans have been Googling ahead of tonight's big game against Forest, because they do need them to hit the ground running.
Certainly do.
One of our top team of European experts, Kevin Hatchard, joins us now. Hi, Kev.
How are we doing, gents? We all right?
Yeah, we're good. There's plenty of stuff to get stuck into with European players potentially heading to the Premier League. But before that, let's find out more about Pablo Felipe and Tati Castellanos, who came from Lazio, the Argentinian. So, I mean, what can you tell us about them? Do you expect them to hit the ground running? There's often a period of adjustment, isn't it, coming to the Premier League?
Yeah, I think there will be, and obviously West Ham can't afford too much of a period of adjustment. I think Pablo's an interesting one. His dad, Pena, actually was a striker for Porto, and he was top scorer in the league for Porto a few years ago. So he's got good pedigree. And at Gil Vicente, she's done pretty well. You know, he got 10 goals in 13 games this season. You're never quite sure how the leap is going to go. But what he is he's physically strong enough to deal with the Premier League, I think. What I like about him is he's a poacher. He's got good goal scorer's instincts, I think. He knows where to be. But there might be a period of adaptation. Tati Castellanos is an interesting one because scored goals in America, in MLS, and did well there. Scored goals at Girona in La Liga and scored 4 in one game against Real Madrid once. Went to Lazio, double figures last season. He's had a few hamstring problems this season, so he's slowed down a bit. So, again, there are no surefire things, but I think what links both players, I think, is work rate, aggression and energy. And that's clearly what West Ham are looking for. They're looking for a bit more punch up front, a bit more physicality, I think.
So is Felipe really the replacement for what they hoped Full Crew was going to be?
Yeah, and I must admit, I'm surprised the Füllkrug thing went so badly because if you look at his time at Dortmund immediately beforehand, he'd helped them reach a Champions League final. He'd looked fitter than he had for a while. He's had 4 knee injuries, serious ones. So that was always a question mark, but he had looked good. He'd looked really sharp for Germany, but he just never got going. He had injury problems and was in a team that was struggling. So I am surprised that went as badly as it did.
It's hard to sign players in January, and I know Yan Diomande, a lot of clubs are looking at him, but you reckon he's not going anywhere?
Yeah, so he's really exciting. 19-year-old winger, quick, real entertainer, but a real work rate as well. That's what really stands out about him. Started well with Ivory Coast at international level too. Tottenham believed to be interested. Manchester United have been credited with an interest as well. But if you look at RB Leipzig's history, they don't do these big deals mid-season. And that's all of the talk that's coming out of Germany, that they're not going to sanction a deal mid-season. They need him because they want to try and get back into the Champions League. They missed out on Europe altogether last season. So certainly won't be sanctioning a deal in this window, I wouldn't have thought.
He will be expensive as well, Kevin. What sort of figure have they put on him?
Yeah, I mean, Leipzig don't sell players cheap. We know that. They drive a hard bargain, and there's no release clause. He's only just gone there. He's only been there a matter of months. And the talk in Germany is that it would take around about €100 million to get Leipzig to let him go ahead of schedule. Now, realistically, the fee probably won't be that, but that's what Leipzig are putting out there to put people off.
Now, interesting thing what Marcus Rashford and his people would have thought when Ruben Amorim got the sack yesterday. There's a few reports suggesting that there could be a way back for him, but he seems to be enjoying life in Barcelona.
Yeah, he is, and he's been an important part of that squad. He got plenty of game time when Rafinha was injured. They're in the mix to win La Liga again. They're in the mix to win the Champions League. I'd be very surprised if he was desperate to return to Old Trafford at this stage. As far as I know, there's no immediate recall clause that United would be able to use. So, and Barcelona don't want to let him go because it would make no sense for them whatsoever, because there's a player that they were able to bring in on loan, and he's been super helpful for them, and they're not in a position to go out and spend a fortune to try and replace him. So, yeah, I think this is one that, they'll want to keep him, and I think he'll want to stay.
And talking of returning to your old club, Chiesa, there's a bit of interest in him, isn't there, from Juventus?
Yeah, and he's been linked with Roma as well. Roma are looking to add a bit more punch to their attack because they've been surprisingly timid in attack, actually. Evan Ferguson has been a bit hit and miss. Artem Dovbyk, it hasn't really happened for him this season, so they've been linked with him as well. And Juventus are looking to try and push on under Spalletti because they've been really up and down. And if you look at the attacking players they brought in, hasn't really happened for them. Jonathan David struggled, Lois Openda struggled, and Vlahovic, who they're keen to get rid of at the end of the season when his contract expires, he's probably been their most consistent striker, I would say.
So is that him pushing for that because he wants more game time before the World Cup, or is that... Because I'm surprised he's had some decent cameos for Liverpool, and I would imagine they want to keep him to the end of the season.
I imagine they would, but the problem is that Arne Slot just doesn't start him enough.
No.
Just doesn't seem to trust him to start enough games. It's been a bone of contention for a lot of Liverpool fans who feel that his performances have warranted more game time, but it just doesn't seem to be happening for him. And, obviously we don't know if Italy are going to make the World Cup at the moment, but if they do, he's absolutely going to want to be part of that. So it's a big decision for him to make.
What's the latest on Harry Kane and his contract at Bayern?
Yeah, so it looks as though he's not going to, as we've said all along, really, when we've spoken about this season, he's got a release clause in his contract, but that expires in January. And I don't think he ever had any intention of using it. He's very settled in Germany. He went on one of those fan club visits recently where they do a lottery and you get different players going to different fan clubs around Bavaria and beyond. And he spoke about how happy he is and that he will talk to Bayern about a new contract, but he's very relaxed about it. He's been linked with a return to the Premier League. I don't think that's going to happen. He's been linked with a move to Barcelona, but I'm not sure that's a deal they can afford. Certainly if he isn't going to go in this window. So I expect him to stay at Bayern and to continue to push for the biggest prizes.
Couple of players that could be heading potentially from the Bundesliga, the Premier League. Danny Oduki he's a defender at Union Berlin. Leeds are interested. Do you think he'd be a good buy for them?
I feel like it's a no-brainer. He's got a few months left on his deal. He's physical. He's excellent in the air. He's a set-piece threat. He's used to playing in a back three, and obviously Leeds have had that positional switch that has worked really well for them. I think he'd be a fantastic player in the Premier League. So if they could get him, I think that'd be a real coup. He's not going to sign a new deal with Union. I think he's going to go either at the end of the season when his contract expires, or he'll go in this window.
What sort of money is he going to cost, Kev?
The talk is around 10, 11 million. And I think that's probably fair because, yes, you could wait 6 months and wait to get him. But I think if you look at the deals Leeds have done, they've been pretty smart and they've lent on Germany quite heavily. They brought in guys like Anton Stark who've done really well. Metscher's done better than I thought he would because he's had a lot of injury problems, but he's managed to stay fit. So they've made some good signings from Germany, and I think this would help them get over the line.
And one final one, Bournemouth looking to replace Antoine Semenyo. Have been looking at Stuttgart and Germany winger Jamie Lewelling, but he's going to be hard to prize away, isn't he?
He is. I'm a little sceptical about it anyway, because there's talk of €40 million. Stuttgart want to hang on to him. Sebastian Hoeneß, the coach, is a big fan of his. My issue is the end product. There's a lot to like about Leveling. He's dynamic, he's quick, he can score goals from range. I don't think he scores enough goals. And what I would worry about is him coming into Bournemouth with the tag of the Semenyo replacement. It's a lot of pressure for a guy that just hasn't been a volume provider in terms of goals and assists.
We shall see. Kevin, thanks ever so much.
Interesting.
Cheers, chaps.
Kevin Hatchard, European football expert, right across all the latest going on in the transfer window with Intuit QuickBooks. Still to come, we're going to be looking ahead to the one Premier League game tonight, and it is a big one. It's West Ham versus Forest at the foot of the Premier League. Forest on a bit of a rocky run. West Ham really going through it at the moment. They desperately need 3 points tonight, and Forest ideally need to pick up at least one.
I don't feel there's going to be a lot of quality on offer. It's going to be
a lot of jeopardy. We're going to have a chat with Matt Jarvis, the former Hammers winger, a little bit later on. But before that, our own Max Scott will be popping back in, a huge Forest fan, to give us a Forest take on just how important tonight is for the club. We're here with Tool Station. Gear up for those darker nights with electrical and lighting offers. Next stop, Tool Station.
Hello and welcome to talkSPORT Goals. We've been taking you through what should be another busy day of football.
Chance to win it!
We don't need to do that, guys.
I'm going to owe you an apology.
How would you get to that conclusion?
That's a weak mentality.
Oh, get out of it.
This week we're going to bring you all the big games in the Premier League. Full programme. Tomorrow night is the kind of guts of it, but tonight we have one absolutely massive game for you, and it is West Ham versus Nottingham Forest. An awful lot riding on it after both teams' recent run of results. Maybe a bit more surprising for Forest, 4 defeats in a row. Joining us now in the studio is our resident Forest fan to give us a Forest angle. We'll chat to Matt Jarvis a little bit later on. Max Scott. Hi, Max.
How are we?
Well, how are you? Are you going tonight?
I'm going tonight. Yeah, bracing the cold. Got my big, thick Forest hat ready. And I'm feeling pretty nervous about it. You know, everyone around the office is trying to tell me that I shouldn't be worried whatsoever. But when you've lost 4 on the bounce, and in particular that Fulham game that I spoke to you boys before, and then the performance at home against Everton, it doesn't inspire confidence. And so we should go and win there. We should capitalise on what is a really sad situation at the club, such a disconnect between the fans, the owners, and now seemingly Nuno. And I'd, with the greatest respect to Nuno, quite like to get one over him. Because I know everyone feels pretty sorry for him about what happened to him at Forest, but I feel like he completely shafted us and has been the author of the beginning of this chaos that we've seen this season. So I'm really looking forward to what will hopefully be a win. And Sean Dyche himself is coming under a bit of pressure from the fans, and you can understand that. But
what's changed? Because, you know, when he first came in, we chatted to you and you were quite buoyed by what you were seeing and what he was doing.
Well, what's changed? Football fans are really fickle. That's not changed. And so I sort of just get the impression that, you know, he came in, we were in a really good run of form, and we were 6th or 5th in the league table for when he came in, and then we've had a bad run of form. But that's the nature of the Premier League, particularly this season, and I think eventually will come good. And so I'm still, with the players we've got at our disposal, think we're going to be all right. But I think there's far too much emphasis on managers and the responsibility they have. And I know we've just seen Ryan Mason, Nancy, Ruben Amorim all get sacked. But I sort of feel like maybe sometimes managers are seen like sort of FIFA players, that they're in total control. Ultimately, Forest players just haven't been consistent and good enough to the level that they demonstrated last season. So I think it's time that they can't hide. They've had 3 managers. They need to be better.
So he's not done anything sort of tactically different? He's not playing players you feel that he should be playing? Because you've got injuries, you've got players at AFCON, which isn't...
Yeah, exactly. Olaraina's back, that's massive.
That's a big thing.
And if you look at the stats, pressing more than under Nuno, more possession than any other Sean Dyche team in his history. And so generally the stats, you know, look positive. I just think we've been off it, and the players need to pull themselves up by their bootstraps a little bit. So all this stuff that's, you know, increasing social media pressure on Sean Dyche, I just think the players need to be better.
Yeah. You make a good point about the Premier League, because you just have to look at Palace and Bournemouth. They were riding high, on the verge of top 4. Look at them now. Look how many games.
Absolutely. I mean, Leeds, the amount of Leeds fans that I work with, Tom Clayton, my producer Jeremy, top boys, but they were absolutely ready for Daniel Farke to be gone. And my point was, who are you going to get? What's going to change? And look at them. They've gone on a fabulous run of form, and you would think they should be pretty safe, right? And I think that Forest can do a similar thing. But equally, like I say, I'm not confident. We've lost lost four games on the bounce. I'm sure Nuno wants to get one over Mr. Marinakis, and it's going to be a really tense game. And if we win, we're 7 points clear. If not, we're only 1 point clear, and then you're in a relegation dogfight for real, right?
I mean, first goal's always important in any game, but this is a real big first goal game, because if Forest score first, you can imagine
it could get pretty toxic amongst the West Ham fans who have had enough, I think, really.
Yeah, and I sincerely hope that's the case, obviously. but Forest haven't looked at all, in recent games, just lacking, lumping a lot of balls in the box, particularly against Everton, and that huge defence they've got, and it's not worked. But I've said this all season, and I've been proven wrong most of the time, but with players like Anderson and players like Gibbs-White, Amari Hutchinson, who seems to me to be the shining light in that team, alongside Anderson, you would think you'd create chances against one of the worst defences in the league. But Forest are only 4 points above them, so it's not as if we can sit on our high horse and say that we have a divine right to go there and win.
A win will be, 7 point gap is huge.
And then you can breathe a bit of a sigh of relief, can't you?
Is Matt Salisbury back tonight, you think? I mean, because John Victor went off, didn't he? Wasn't he in tears?
Yeah, went off injured.
After what he did, I'm surprised he was in tears. I bet you were as well.
Yeah, in fact, it's interesting because we signed that huge Brazilian goalkeeper last season who then returned, and we had a similar thing against Exeter in the FA Cup where he had a howler and then went off injured in tears. I'm glad to see Matt Sells back. I think that Sean Dyche sort of wanted to, he'd played well, Victor, but I'm happy to see Sells back. And look, it's really interesting fixture tonight because, of course, there's the whole Nuno thing, but this comes amid reports that Edu, the man who was supposedly at the epicentre of that breakdown in a relationship between Nuno and the club, he's said to be under a lot of pressure because of, what has been some really difficult signings. And speaking to Arsenal fans when he came in, they were all saying, watch out for his sort of agent mate signings. Forest got Zinchenko in on a massive fee. He's been injured. We can't send him back. Douglas Luiz has turned up to the City Ground with a chronic hamstring injury, but we have to buy him for 25 million quid if he plays 45 minutes 15 times. And Arnaud Calamuendo we signed for 26 million quid from France, and he looks like he's off to Frankfurt. And so there is a lot of disquiet, it seems, behind the scenes. The results certainly aren't helping, but for the morale around the city, around the club, around the players, a win tonight is absolutely massive.
Yeah. And you're going to the games and watching them and going to away games as well. What's the mood? Is it a sort of bit of tension, or are they a bit like you? Are they feeling that you're going to come good and you'll be fine?
I think there's a bit of a mixture, really. It depends what type of fan you speak to, but naturally, when you lose 4 games, you're going to get tension and you're going to get concern and you're going to feel under more pressure. But I largely think, and I'll probably get some tweets as we speak telling me I'm speaking absolute poppycock, but I think that largely Sean Dyche, he does breed confidence because he's got a good record. He's got the best, and I say this all the time, he's got the best squad he's ever had on paper. And so I think we'll be all right. But at this point, I don't think we're going to rise up the league and reach the dizzying heights of mid-table. I think we are just a typical Premier League club, one of the smaller clubs in the Premier League in terms of revenue, not in terms of history, but in terms of revenue. And we're dealing with the difficulties of playing European football for the first time in a generation and navigating that massive congested fixture list, and it's just part and parcel of what it is. So I think largely if we win tonight, Forest can be happy with their lot because we get to follow our boys away in Europe and hopefully have another season in the Premier League.
And if it doesn't work for Sean, you can get Martin O'Neill in.
Yeah, we can get Martin O'Neill in.
He'll be looking for another job.
I doubt based on his relationship with Evangelos Marinakis that'll happen, but of course, if we beat, it's a strange world. If we beat West Ham and West Ham sack Nuno and then Forest go ahead and sack Edu, is there a way back for Nuno? All of these narratives I'm sure will be explored on talkSPORT, but it's a massive game.
Well, put some gloves on, put a hat on and a big coat and enjoy the game.
And hopefully I come back not sounding like you, Paul.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, that's going to Tottenham did for my voice, and I wasn't even shouting. But have a good time.
Yeah, thanks, boys.
So, we're going to bring you that game this evening here on talkSPORT, and all the fallout, of course, in the sports bar from 10. So still to come, we're going to hear from Matt Jarvis. We're going to West Ham take on tonight's match. Their former winger James Allen will join us from the world of F1. They've announced all the rule changes for next season, and we'll have new drivers and other innovations. So James will run us through those and lots more besides, all coming up in the final hour.
talkSPORT Sports Update powered by the Nissan Van Range. Commercial vehicles built around your business. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van Centre.
Good afternoon, I'm Max Scott here with your sports headlines. Now, talkSPORT understands Michael Carrick is open to returning to Manchester United as interim boss. Former manager Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has also offered his services, and sources have told talkSPORT his return would be welcomed by senior players such as Bruno Fernandes and Harry Maguire. United's top brass reckon they'll have a bigger pool of managers to choose from if they wait till the summer, with options such as Oliver Glasner, Maurizio Pochettino and Thomas Tuchel available. There's more on that on the website at talksport.com. Now, Chelsea appointing Liam Rosenior from sister club Strasbourg has not gone down well with the French fans. They've complained of their club's humiliating subservience to Chelsea. But speaking to the press upon his departure from the French club, Rosenior denies this allegation.
I think that the narrative that this project is for the interest of only one club is completely wrong. And I think in time I will be proven.
In true Blues fashion, Rosenior's been given a bumper 5.5-year deal. He'll be in the stands at Craven Cottage for Chelsea's trip to Fulham tomorrow night, which is live exclusively on talkSPORT 2. Now, while Chelsea have opted for youth in a time of crisis, Celtic have called yet again on trusted experience. Martin O'Neill's been speaking exclusively to talkSPORT about his second coming this season, and with them 6 points off league leaders' Hearts, has he been given the target of winning the league?
That has not been something that's been put to me. We have to try and find it. It'll be very, very difficult. We're behind. Rangers have caught up now as well too. So it will be difficult, but it is a challenge for us.
talkSPORT News.
Gusts of 60 miles per hour and heavy snow are on the way as Storm Goretti makes its way to the UK. And European leaders say they will not stop defending Greenland as Donald Trump ramps up threats to take control of it.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. Whatever the weather, our range of services is longer than the queue at the Chippy on a Friday night. Tyres, MOTs, brakes and more. Book today at quickfit.com.
Rain, sleet and snow moves in from the northwest today with heavy and persistent snow affecting parts of Scotland. Sunny spells and wintry showers elsewhere.
Paddy's Pick on talkSPORT with Paddy Power. Can you guess who's made the headlines this week? 18 plus, be gamble aware, don't all.
Yes, it's time now for this week's Paddy's Pick in association with our official betting partner, Paddy Power. In Paddy's Pick, I'm asking Andy to identify a mystery sports personality who has made news headlines in the recent past. And he's
Wilfred Nancy, sorry.
It isn't him.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not going to take £10 off, though. That's the way it works. Andy's going to get 5 clues to work out who it is. We'll start with £50 in the pot. And for every clue he uses up without a correct answer, £10 gets taken away. It's all for charity. We're raising funds for Duchenne UK. So, Andy, are you ready?
I am ready.
We turn the page and see who you've got. Oh, yes. Here we go.
Do I know this person?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
This week's pick is a current Premier League star who reached a milestone last weekend and may make league history later this week.
James Milner.
Absolutely correct. No messing about. 50 quid for Duchenne UK.
I'm impressed with myself there.
Didn't need the other clues. He supported Leeds United from childhood and joined the Leeds Youth Academy in 1996. He made 48 appearances for Leeds between 2002 2004, scoring 5 goals. That would have been a 30 quid question.
He's been tremendous.
Yeah.
What a tremendous player. And we were making the point yesterday about, Chelsea modelled themselves on Brighton and Brentford, but these clubs have players like Milner and Welbeck. They've just signed Pascal Gross.
Yeah.
You need that experience. It's so useful, even if they don't play every game, just to be around the place.
Yeah. I don't know. I was going to say to you boys, if I'd been here yesterday, the Brighton-Burnley game had a feel of James Milner's testimonial. Didn't you feel? Because Burnley didn't allow a glove on them.
No,
they
that's true.
faffed around at the back and just gave them a couple of goals and loads of chances. I thought they would deliver.
It's a good description.
Yeah, they brought on Pascal Gross like an old mate of his had come back. It really did feel like a testimonial. I thought in the last couple of minutes, one of their defenders might deliberately trip him over so he could get a penalty. 3-0. Anyway, the other 2 clues were he went on to play for a number of teams, including Newcastle, Man City and Liverpool. An England international, 61 appearances and 1 goal. Yeah, and he's Paddy's pick of the week, James Milner, for a happy 40th birthday last Sunday. Could become the 19th player to make a Premier League appearance after turning 40 in Brighton's next match at City tomorrow evening. So 50 quid for Deshen UK this week, thanks to our friends at Paddy Power, official H&J betting partner, 18 plus only. BeGambleAware.org.
Paddy's pick on talkSPORT with Paddy Power. Can you guess who's made the headlines this week? 18 plus BeGambleAware.org.
Now, Andy, I often throw things at you and we ask, is it sport?
Yes.
This is a competitive event which is physical. So
Okay,
I'd like you
well,
to
that's
tell
always
me whether it's sport or not. It's courtesy of Private Eye.
Ooh.
The International Grave Digging Championship was created, they say, was created not for spectacle, but in honour of a profession that usually goes unseen.
Yeah.
It's happened in Hungary. Hungary's Association of Cemetery Operators got together, and each two-person team faces the same task. Carve out a grave measuring 2 metres long, 80 centimetres wide and 1.6 metres deep. Then replace the 2.5 tonnes of dirt that's been excavated.
Tremendous. I think it's sport.
Would you watch it?
I would. I used to follow the programme.
Yeah, it'd be a better watch. Would it be a better watch than Brentford versus Spurs last Thursday?
No, I used to watch the programme that went with it, Saint and Gravesy. Tremendous.
That was very good. Yeah, judges score competitors on speed, accuracy, and presentation. I was thinking, who would be a judge? What about Shovel from M People?
Yeah, he'd be good. Why not?
That'd be good. Talk a bit of Arsenal as well, couldn't he? And why would he do that in Hungary?
Do that?
Yeah, I don't know. Where were we? Yeah, so judges score competitors on speed, accuracy, and presentation using a 10-point scale. Clean edges and a tidy burial mound. Very upbeat. This is
really great.
Yeah.
Sport.
So there we are. Competitive grave digging.
Yeah. Oh.
If you fancy taking note.
It's better than
live on
competitive cremation.
Live on talkSPORT 3 tonight, as Fletch would say.
What is it? Competitive cremation.
No, that's a very different. That's a very different business. So, yes,
I've got one for you there.
Oh yeah, go on.
The court announcements. I love this one.
Yeah.
Mr. AML Gauntlet and Miss A. Williams have got engaged. Mark Gauntlet. I know Mark, actually. I like to run with him.
Sure, you do. Yeah. You like to throw him down now and again, don't you, as well?
I do, yeah, absolutely.
We're chatting to Richard from Man v Fat and told you about one or two of the success stories. And one of our own listeners, John, has been in touch. He said, I did Man v Fat in Mansfield a couple of years ago. Not overstating it to say it changed my life.
Brilliant.
Went from 96 kg to 76, and it's given me the tools to keep going. So it's just fantastic.
It's a great thing.
Go and check it out, Man v Fat, if you fancy taking a game of football and making some mates and shedding a few pounds. It's a really good thing, and that's why we're always happy to have the guys on to talk about it. We also mentioned with Martin O'Neill, is that 73, going back to Celtic, is there a manager you'd like back? They've got to be in their 70s and they've got to be alive. I said I'd quite like Harry Redknapp. Yeah, but they've got to be alive, you know. I'm sure there were some Celtic fans thinking, no, we wouldn't have cared about that in the last couple of weeks. But yes, Harry Redknapp, I said I'd have back at Spurs. Jordan from Belfast agrees. A lot of United fans said, well, we'd have Sir Alex back in a heartbeat, but we know that's not going to happen. David Pleat, back to Spurs, one of the listeners says, Lee, I met him recently. He's as sprightly as ever. He's 81, you know.
Yeah, I think he came in and had a chat with Jim and Simon.
That's right.
Before Christmas sometime.
Alan Dix, now in his 90s, says Matt.
Wow, is he really?
The Bristol City fan. I'd have him back. It's the 50th anniversary.
Tremendous.
Yeah. So Howard Wilkinson says one Leeds fan, and Tom outside, Tom Clayton, he said he would have Bielsa back. That's right.
The ultimate one of those would be Sir Alex Ferguson.
No, that's right. That's what a lot of United fans had said that to us. But, you know, I mean, he's 84 now. He's done it. He does it. Why would he?
I know, but would you not not now because he's 84, but in the past, I mean, they've had 11 managers since he left.
Yeah.
Over that period, you just think, it would have been interesting if he'd gone back.
I don't think he ever wanted to do that. Didn't you always sense, you know, he was there as a sounding board for people if they wanted it.
He went to get out. He did.
Roy Hodgson at West Brom, please. Yeah, I'm sorry to see Ryan Mason go. I was hoping that was going to work out for him, but that's the miserable Albion fan wanting. Roy's not resurfaced, does he? I mean, looking at Martin, I wonder if one or two like Roy might resurface again.
Well, so
you never know.
Anything's possible.
Have you got your? You talked about Jemima Packington yesterday.
I did,
Danny. She's the lady who throws asparagus in the air and where it lands tells her what's going to happen at the World Cup.
Rubbish, really.
I'm surprised you didn't get her on yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
Danny would have enjoyed chatting to her.
Yeah.
She said, UK football fans are in for a tremendous World Cup, she said, which is...
pretty vague, isn't it?
Which is. I mean, she throws asparagus in the air. She's not drilled down into the actual results, which is a shame.
There's no scientific basis to it, is there, really?
No.
I don't think so.
I'd like to claim there was, but there isn't.
I don't think there is.
Anything else? Have I got some of your stuff here, Andy?
You could do.
Have I got them here?
I quite like this letter. It was number 9 on my list.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I'm choosing my own numbers now.
That's good.
Actually, Danny said to me, just read out a good one. When I gave him the choice yesterday, which I thought, actually,
this is Andy's. Andy has a list of things. He numbers all these cuttings.
I've cut them all down. I went through them over the Christmas period. That's how dedicated I am.
Yeah.
I had about 200, and I thought, a lot of these are...
Too many.
Not only too many, they're not any good. That'd be more the point.
So this is a cutting number 9 that you've chosen. Why do you like it, and what is it?
I like it because it's a ridiculous letter from Angie B, who wrote to the Star. She said, how come there's always a cameraman around when those losers, the Beckhams, are doing anything? Pair of saddos. Yeah, you mean those £100 million losers?
Yeah.
He's got no self-awareness. Angie B, I presume you haven't got 100 million quid. I don't know.
It's not all about money, is it? They've achieved in their lives in various fields, haven't they?
Exactly. You know, I mean, he's played for some of the top football clubs in the world.
She hasn't, but she was in a huge band, wasn't she?
Huge band. She got a brilliant fashion.
We don't have to talk up the Beckhams.
No.
Their record speaks for itself.
Very much.
What about number 1, Andy? Number one's never been chosen. I bet that's
never been chosen.
Quite terrible.
It's a bit of a posh one, really. Posh people news.
Okay, yeah.
It seems Lady Lola Butte, who is taking her well-documented exhibitionism to a new level.
Oh, yeah.
It might be well-documented, but I've never heard of it. And this time, it's not only her 49,000 Instagram followers, quite healthy.
Pretty, yeah.
Who are in for a treat. It's her West London neighbours too. As my exclusive picture above shows, the daughter of the late 7th Marquess of Bute, also known as racing driver Johnny Dumfries.
Oh, yeah, Johnny.
Yes.
Denzel. No relation to Denzel.
No, he isn't.
No.
And had a shower installed on the roof of her flat. Bizarre. Well, not really in the summer. Maybe she sunbathes up there and she wants to have a shower.
I bet you'll be there with your binoculars, won't you?
I live opposite her, actually.
Oh, yeah. One more, shall we?
Okay, go on.
What about 88? I won't do the bingo vernacular. I'd get taken off the air.
UK set to be colder than Russia. Thanks.
Well, I think that's the case, isn't it?
Well, it might be, but, so what?
Yeah.
It's just cold. I mean, we know you don't. It's same as hotter than, colder than.
Yeah.
We know if it's hot. We know if it's cold. We can tell by the weather.
Our producer today, Andrew, floated the possibility that games could be called off because of the cold weather tonight. And you said, what's happened to the young people of today?
Yeah, I know.
Imagine if they'd said that in Stalingrad, said Andy.
He said when it's very cold for the fans. Are you serious?
I heard
of layers.
He's heard of Layers Road. No, he's heard it. Yeah, I think it was more safety because we saw that you have to be careful.
That's different.
The concourses
No,
and
I'm not. That
can't have people falling over.
I
mean, I know you like people falling over.
No, I don't, unless I'm entering into you being framed.
Yeah.
Just stand outside.
250 quid.
Wait for people to fall over.
Just wait for them.
No. I'm a big believer in layers. I've got the long... I basically wear long johns from about November till April.
Do you really? That's a lovely image, isn't it?
I know, it is really.
Old man step-toe.
Thermal underwear. Yeah.
Okay, so are you wearing them now?
I am wearing them now, yeah. I've got two layers on and an extra big fishing sweater and an anorak.
Are you going fishing?
Not really. A hat. I've got gloves.
Do you feel the cold?
Well, I do. As you get older, you do feel the cold more. That is true.
True. Well,
mine's a half.
If you get frostbite at Chelsea at the weekend, you can apologise to Andrew.
You don't get cold at football, though, do you, in general, because of the human body heat around you? I never feel as cold at football as I do.
No, that's true. Yeah,
you're walking to the game and walking from the that's one thing, but actually in the stadium.
No, that is true. It's not.
There's a bloke at Chelsea. I mean, I think he listens to talkSPORT. He always says hello to me. He's a really nice guy.
Yeah.
But whatever the weather, he's not a postman. He wears shorts.
Not a postman.
I don't think he's a postman, but he always wears shorts.
I mean, if he's not a postman, I bet he wants to be a postman.
I've never asked him. I've always wanted to ask him. In fact, the last game when I saw him, it was really cold and I had all this clobber on and everything.
Yeah.
I just want to say, how come you only wear shorts?
Ask him next time, man.
I will.
This cold snap.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, there we go.
So there we are. What's coming up? Well, we're going to be chatting to Matt Jarvis, looking ahead from a West Ham perspective on tonight's big game live on talkSPORT. But we turn to Formula One. The new season's a ways off, but we've got details of the new rules. And we've got
some of them are really interesting, revolutionary, really.
Got a new team and new drivers. So anyway, James Allen from motorsport.com is going to join us to tell us about the innovations for the upcoming season. And we'll also be hearing from all the managers because there have been a lot of press conferences today with so many games on tomorrow evening, 8 games, I believe, tomorrow evening. And you'll hear them all across the talkSPORT network, whether on the app, some on Talk Radio. Imagine that. Palace, Aston Villa is going to be on Talk Radio.
Really?
Yeah.
Can you ring in at
You can ring in at half time.
Have a complaint.
Hello, Ian. Absolutely, it's got to go. Yeah, it'd be good, wouldn't it? Have a right old, yeah. So anyway, we're everywhere. TalkSPORT app, and we're going to bring you all the games this week. So we'll focus, of course, on West Ham Forest for today and hear from the gaffers later on. We're here, as always, with our very good friends at Tool Station. Stay one step ahead, whatever the job. Next stop, Tool Station.
Hello and welcome to talkSPORT Goals. We've been taking you through what should be another busy day of football.
Chance to win it!
We don't need to do that, guys.
I'm going to owe you an apology.
How would you get to that conclusion?
That's a weak mentality.
Oh, get out of it.
Now, there's only a few more days left for your chance to win £26,000 at 12 p.m. this Friday. We'll be calling one lucky winner with a guaranteed payment made that day. Don't miss your chance at 26k for 2026. Sorry, Andy, you were supposed to do that.
I know, I was a bit
so
slow.
You can do the T's and C's.
I will.
Here's how to enter.
For your chance to win, text WIN to 83338. Text costs £2.50 plus your standard network rate, or call 0343 423 9761. Lines close 12 p.m. Friday. That's when you'll need to answer your phone if it rings. That's a daft line there. You're not going to answer if it doesn't ring, are you? Can we take that line out? It's absolutely ludicrous. UK residents only, 18 plus. This is a network promotion. Full T's and C's at talksport.com/win. So for your chance to win, text WIN to 83338 now. Good luck.
It's not our producer. He's just a tool of a large organisation. He's got no control over that line. You're going to have to take that higher, Andy.
Answer your phone if it rings. What I do, I let it ring. I just ignore it. I'm standing there. No, I'm not answering. I refuse.
Well, I think that's not a hill to die on.
Not really.
So the F1 season doesn't get underway until the start of March in Melbourne, of course. But we have all the details now of the new rules, and we've got a new track. We've got new drivers. We've got a new team.
Yeah.
But joining us now to tell us more about that from motorsport.com, James Allen. Good afternoon, James.
Paul, Andy, Happy New Year to you both.
And to you, James, yeah. So, was there some interesting stuff going on? I was quite interested in the sort of 50-50 power split in the engines.
Me too.
So the old school, much-loved internal combustion engine and electric power. This is... tell us a bit more about that.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, this. I mean, you don't make rule changes of this level, obviously, without very long lead times. So this is something that was cooked up quite a few years ago. Why did they feel they needed to change the rules? It's because I think they felt that there was the manufacturers might sort of their interest in the sport might wane a little bit. So what they wanted to do was come up with an engine formula that would be really road relevant. So an engine which has got a small internal combustion engine, as you say, running on petrol, not that different from the fuel that you would be normally buying at the pumps in the old days. But this year it will be very different because it will be zero emission fuels. So in other words, it's sustainable fuel. And that's a massive step for the sport, as you can imagine. And then the other thing is upgrading the amount of the hybrid function, which is obviously where you recapture energy under braking and that sort of thing, and you put it back into the system with electricity. And that is something that the road car industry is definitely very interested in, as a result of which it's brought in Honda, Audi, Cadillac and Ford. So you could say that this rule change has worked in terms of getting the manufacturers excited. Whether it works as a spectacle for the fans, time will tell, but it's certainly going to give the drivers a big headache, because managing the energy over a lap and over a Grand Prix distances is going to be quite challenging. They have to be like PlayStation gamers, really, and be thinking a lot as well as driving the car. So it can be really interesting to see which drivers thrive in that environment and which ones find it a mental overload.
Isn't it a bit cosmetic, that, though? I mean, you're flying hundreds of people around the world for 9 months a year. That's quite,
Yeah, could be a bit of a big carbon footprint.
It's slightly, but I suppose it's better
well,
than
the sport's moving towards the goal of the sport is to be net zero carbon by 2030, and it's on target to do that. So they've cut a huge amount of the freight out. There's a lot of people don't travel anymore. A lot of stuff is done with remote operations. Most of the people that do the TV show that you see on the when you watch on a Sunday afternoon, most of them are actually in Kent. They're not out in Melbourne or in Japan or whatever. It's incredible how they've managed to cut down the number of people that need to travel and also the equipment. Of course, there's no getting away from the fact you've got to move 20 cars, spare parts, spanners, and all the rest of it. But you have things like sustainable aviation fuels and all those kind of things that have been going on as well. So, yeah, that's a whole other subject. But certainly the optics of the car itself, basically creating no emissions, is exciting. And it's certainly a massive new dawn for the sport.
What sort of noise will it make? Sorry, Paul.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Because it's a very important part of, when you go to a Grand Prix, isn't it? That sort of, everyone talks about the noise.
Yeah, will it affect the kind of the roar?
Yeah, well, it will, but it won't be the fuel that will affect the roar. It'll actually be the composition of the engine, because that was one of the things a lot of fans complained about when F1 got rid of the screaming V8 engines and brought in the hybrid turbos in 2014. was that it kind of killed the sound a bit. I think a lot of people got used to that now. So you can actually go to a Grand Prix, enjoy yourself, have a conversation in the grandstands or with your mate, or if you're in a hospitality unit, if you're lucky enough to have one of those tickets, and you don't need to wear earplugs or like helicopter kind of headphones. You can actually have a chat. But equally, you miss a bit of the excitement. I think they'll be a bit louder and a bit better to listen to than the engines we've just got rid of, but they won't be back to the way they were back in before 2014, when literally, it was like being at a heavy metal concert. It was so loud.
Cadillac is an interesting name because they're known for these. Their cars aren't going to be much larger than anybody else. Have they ever been involved with?
Or pink?
Yeah, exactly.
Pink, yeah.
Have they ever been involved before in motorsport?
In motorsport, yes, but not in Formula One. They've been reasonably successful in sports car racing, so Le Mans 24 hours, that kind of thing, what you call endurance racing. And obviously they've raced in America in various different series, but this is a huge technical challenge for them because Formula One obviously is the pinnacle of motorsport, and the level of technology involved is extraordinary. But it's not just technology; it's also team functions and expertise across the board. Imagine you decided you were going to start a Premier League football team. You could hire 11 great players and some good coaches, and they might have worked for Juventus or Liverpool or Manchester City before. But getting that all to gel and having your recruitment lined up and your physios and all that sort of thing, it's incredibly difficult to imagine getting that right in a season or 2 seasons. And the challenge you can imagine then with a Formula One team is all of that, as well as the technical challenge of actually building a fast racing car. But at least they don't have to build their own engines because they're buying them from Ferrari.
And they've thrown some money at their launch. They're going to launch the livery, so we'll see what the car looks like in a Super Bowl ad, and they're not cheap.
No.
So that will be very interesting. So,
well, the ultimate owner there, Paul, is Mark Walters, who's a big owner of a number of sports teams in the US. Can't just remember off the top of my head which NFL team he owns or whatever, but he's also a business partner of Todd Bowley with the Chelsea group. Right. And he's the ultimate owner of the Cadillac Formula One team. So he's not short of a few shekels. And I think he's going to make sure that team's successful over the next few years.
It's a big year for a lot of drivers, isn't it? Especially for Lewis. I mean, it was disappointing, wasn't it? When he went to Ferrari, it was kind of his dream and a lot of the fans' dreams, really, but it just didn't work out.
Yeah. Do you see? I mean, I suppose we won't know until sort of testing and everything. But do you see big improvements for him next season, James?
As you say, we won't know until you see the cars running. I mean, Ferrari sacrificed performance basically for most of the second half of last season. They took a decision very early on when they realised they weren't going to be able to beat McLaren, and they decided not to develop the car and put all their effort into 2026. It was a big gamble by the team boss. He said publicly that he realised that he underestimated how demotivating that would be, particularly for Hamilton, but for others as well. I still think Lewis has got it, and I think if the Ferrari is a competitive car, then he is going to be able to match his teammate and take the fight to whoever the other front runners are. But it's a big if, because Ferrari are the great unknown going into this new season, because just because they sacrificed all that effort last year for this year doesn't mean that effort was well spent. And it doesn't mean that other people haven't done a better job, particularly with the engines, because I think the biggest performance differentiator this coming season is going to be the engine. So if Ferrari have got a good engine and a pretty good car, I think Lewis will get good results.
Good stuff. Thank you, James. We'll speak to you near the start of the season. Thanks very much.
Cheers, lads.
James Allen there from motorsport.com. So it doesn't get underway till March, but there'll be plenty. It'll be interesting
Lots
season.
Of testing before.
Yeah, an interesting season for Verstappen and whether he's still at Red Bull after next year. And it's a bit like what Ferrari did. It's a bit like deciding not when you know you're going down in January. So you don't go out and buy players.
That's true. Yeah.
Well, we're back to football in a moment. Because we're going to have a chat with Matt Jarvis, the former West Ham winger. They take on Forest tonight. We spoke to Max Scott, who's off there as a Forest fan a little bit earlier on. But, not good times. They've got to get 3 points tonight. Desperately need to win that, really. You kind of feel that a draw won't be enough. And as Andy said, the early goal could be so key tonight. If Forest get it, it could turn a bit toxic. So we'll get the thoughts of Matt Jarvis very shortly.
Another in through the door at Chelsea, another on a long-term contract. This time it's the manager, though. Liam Rosenior joins from Strasbourg on a 5.5-year deal, keeping it in the Blue Coat family. He spoke to the press in France before the announcement this morning.
I was given permission to speak to one of the biggest football clubs in the world, who are Club World Cup champions. It's an honour for me to be associated with a club like that. And now, on this day, it looks like I'm going to be the next manager of that football club.
He's ruffled the feathers of a few of the Strasbourg fans, though. I mean, they're probably more irked by Blue Coat itself, saying it's another humiliating step in their subservience to Chelsea. Simon Jordan's told him, pipe down.
They've been sucked the life out of. Chelsea ownership, Blue Coat, has come in there and given them nothing. Then they can have that position. And I'd be quite happy to be corrected, but I'm willing to wager you, looking at the recent financial history of Strasbourg, they've had their own difficulties and their own challenges as a football club, which hasn't been propped up by the fans.
Elsewhere, West Brom have sacked Ryan Mason. Lee Carsley's an early favourite to replace him. And Martin O'Neill's back in place at Celtic. He's exclusively told us he couldn't turn it down.
Very difficult to say no to the man who put me in charge way back 25 years ago. You mentioned hesitation. Hesitation in the sense, you know what I mean, that the hesitation is whether you can come back again and win some games. But that'll always be the case.
Get more from that chat on talkSPORT.com.
Wolves have their first Premier League win of this disastrous season for them. They'll be crying into their pie and mash in the East End, you would suspect.
Continuation of mistakes, over and over mistakes. We didn't expect this performance. Nobody expected.
West Ham are done. Anybody who thought Wolves were going down should have put West Ham in there as well.
Loud boos around London Stadium again. West Ham in a whole host of trouble right now.
You know, you can get rid of Nuno, but you've still got the issue with the board. You've still got the problems with recruitment. You've still got the problems with the stadium.
This is the last game he's got. You've got to do something about what's going wrong.
It'll be a fifth defeat in 6 for Sean Dyche and Nottingham Forest.
They'll be looking at him now, the players. They'll need his guidance and his strength.
Nottingham Forest 0, Everton 2.
Every game should be a big game. I've been saying it for years, and I mean it. I mean it.
Strap yourselves in for the roller coaster ride that is a relegation 6-pointer.
It was very gruff, even for Sean.
It was, wasn't it?
Yeah, don't do that.
Sounded like me. I better not do that. I'll be get through the end of the show. Last thing I should do. So, yeah, I mean, it's a dramatic build-up to a dramatic game, because if West Ham don't win tonight, they will find themselves 7 points adrift of Forest. Then it's Leeds, who are heading north at the moment, going rather well. They're on 22, Bournemouth on 23. Then you leap up to Palace on 27. So if they don't get the win tonight, they've really got some work to do. They've brought a couple of new players in, of course, but as Alex Crook was saying in that bit there, it's the performance against Wolves was pretty gutless, wasn't it?
It was grim.
4-minute lead for Wolves, and the game was done by half-time. It was the Matt Jarvis derby, of course.
Yes.
So who better to chat to than the former Hammers winger? Hi, Matt.
Hi, how are we doing?
Not so bad. How did you feel about that game? I mean, you probably got a bit of love for both clubs, and they both needed the result. But I mean, Wolves probably arguably. I mean, I'd say they needed it more, but they're probably done anyway. It was nice for the fans, but it's probably not going to make a big difference in the scheme of things. West Ham needed something from that game, didn't they?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a bad time to be an ex-Wolves and West Ham player.
Yeah.
No, it was an awful performance from West Ham. One that everyone was expecting to go there and to put on a show, to get the 3 points, and to make this game less intense, I suppose, because now, the pressure was on West Ham anyway, going to Molineux and to get the win, but it just magnifies this game even more. And obviously, I'm absolutely delighted for Wolves to got their win, and I'm really pleased for Rob Edwards and for Mane to score as well. Like, just a great feel for them. But for West Ham, it was just you can understand the fans' disappointment, and there's no desire and commitment, and no shots. That's the biggest disappointment.
And 3 points would have meant they'd be 1 point behind Forest going into this game. If they win the game, they're ahead of them. So it was a crucial.
Jarrod Bowen is reminding me, Matt, of Ben Stokes running the Ashes team at the moment. I mean, I think he's putting a shift in. He's trying to make things happen. He's the absolute standout player. But one man can only do so much, can't he?
Yeah, I mean, no one can ever question his commitment to West Ham, his energy, his just the way he goes about playing. Everything is what every West Ham fan wants from every single player, and he's doing that. It's just a massive uphill struggle from here on in, and this game tonight, it doesn't matter about past results, it doesn't matter about past performances. Both teams are in a bad state at the moment, but it's about heart and desire and togetherness, and at the moment West Ham haven't showed that.
It's 18 games left. This is the point that Sean Dyche was making. He said nothing will be decided tonight because there are a load of games left. I suppose that's true, but psychologically...
I mean, look, West Ham, the owners would say they've tried to address it. They've brought a couple of players in, a couple of attacking options that the club badly need. We asked Kevin Hatchard about them earlier on, and, he thinks there's sort of good potential there, but it's always hard to hit the ground running in the Premier League, and West Ham can't stand a long period of adjustment for these players, can they? Need them up and running and playing quickly.
Absolutely. I mean, it's great when you can have players come through the door as quickly as they have, and it gives the squad a bit of a impulse, a bit of something that you can really go for. You can really add to the squad, and it gives you that little bit of belief, because they haven't been in it, they haven't felt everything that's been going on. They're coming into it fresh, they're excited, they're energetic. They've got that no fear, really. They're going to go into this period that they're just desperate to come in and do well. So hopefully, they add something to this squad, because it's desperately needed.
Paqueta might be back tonight. He was out the other day, but I mean, again, it's a huge player for them. He's a real quality player. I mean, what have you made of him sort of this season?
Frustrating. I think he's got everything, hasn't he? He's such a great ability. Brazilian number 10. What more can you want? He on the ball, he can do some incredible things. He scored some goals this season. It's just, I suppose, consistency is always a big part of that. I think he need.
Watching Match of the Day, though, the analysis after the game, this lack of tracking back, this lack of effort, these basic, simple mistakes.
Both defensively and midfield.
Surely that's something that can be addressed.
Well, absolutely. I think that's the first and foremost what everyone thought Nuno would be able to do. His teams are always defensively solid, and they've got that, being able to then attack. And it's just not. It's not sort of worked as quick and as everyone was expecting. I think, yes, you can change that, because it's all mentality. It's all about effort and desire. And these West Ham players have, they've shown in spells they've got that. They just haven't shown it as a group together, and they haven't shown it consistently. They've maybe done it in spits and starts, but unfortunately, even the last couple of games, you look at the the Brighton game, for instance. They're winning the game. They actually played well, started really well, which isn't normal for West Ham really this season. They've started well, they've got themselves in front, and they get pulled back, and then they go in front again, and it gets pulled back, and you can't seem to see out games. It's the same with the Fulham game. They were in it right way to the end, and then conceded a late goal. And these really do. They make a big impact in the way that the players are feeling into these games.
And as Andy said earlier on, first goal is crucial tonight, because if West Ham get it early, get the crowd up, it could go their way. If Forest get it, it could turn very toxic and very nervy on the terraces. So it feels really important tonight, that one, doesn't it?
God, doesn't it just? Yeah, you desperately, from a West Ham, they need to get that first goal, because the fans and the whole atmosphere is so important for the way that West Ham can play and be at home. If it goes the other way and the atmosphere is, as you say, probably not the best, toxic would probably be an understatement. So it'll be hugely important at the West Ham. They just got to show desire, commitment, like trying everything. And that's all the West Ham fans want. They want them to be able to just go after every game saying they put in 100% effort and they're committed to the cause.
And just a quick one on Callum Wilson. There's a few stories today, and Nuno, when he spoke about him in the press conference, was a bit non-committal. So it doesn't sound good from his point of view, but it seems to be an issue around his contract and the amount of games he plays. But an old head like that on a run-in when you're in trouble, even if you have signed some good overseas players, I think he'd be a good man to stick around, wouldn't he? Pop off the bench and get some vital goals.
Do you know what? This season I've seen him a lot when he's played, and he just does so much for the team. As you said, an experienced head, but he holds the ball up, he makes the right runs, and you always know if he's in a position in front of goal, he's going to score goals, and that's what you get with him. It's obviously the other side of it. I've got no idea with regards to contracts and everything that's going on behind the scenes. But as a player that you need someone to score goals, and he's able to do that. It's making sure that you can do that on a regular basis is the hard part to keep him on the pitch.
Well, enjoy the game, Matt, as much as you can. It's going to be nervy. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
There we are. It's Matt Jarvis, the former West Ham winger, and it's possible Castellanos could start tonight. It wouldn't be a bad idea, I think, to get the crowd up, having a new signing from Lazio, 25 million signing and all that. So it might be a good move to sling him in there. So we'll see. It should be an interesting game. It's live on talkSPORT from 7 tonight. Coming up next, Andy Goldstein and Darren Bent are going to bring you Drive. And within that, Darren Fletcher is going to be chatting.
Oh, that's good.
As the interim manager. He's going to be giving his press conference.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Don't get too excited. No, he's not coming in. No. He's busy. He's got a job to do. But his press conference as interim manager will take place, and you can react to that with the guys, and we'll get Andy's take on that as a United fan.
Alex Crook is saying on X that he understands Carrick and Solskjaer have both been sounded out by United.
Really?
I mean,
they've been there with Solskjaer, and you kind of feel Michael Carrick would be an interesting one. But I mean, having said that, why not give Darren Fletcher a chance?
Well, I'd say so, definitely.
Anyway, we'll hear from him a little bit later on. Some of the other managers have already spoken, and we'll hear from them shortly. We're here with Tool Station. Pick up your wet weather essentials today. Next stop, Tool Station.
I think if...
Hello and welcome to talkSPORT Goals. We're taking you through what should be another busy day of football.
Chance to win it!
We don't need to do that, guys.
I'm going to owe you an apology.
How would you get to that conclusion? That's a weak mentality.
Oh, get out of it.
Just before we hear from some of the managers ahead of the week's big games, as Andy just said, he saw a little tweet from our chief football correspondent, Alex Crook, regarding Manchester United. We thought we'd flesh that out a bit. He joins us now. Hi, Crookie.
Afternoon, boys.
So, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and Michael Carrick apparently have shown an interest, and the club seems to be showing an interest in them.
Yeah, I've just had my son on the phone, actually. I've just left school. Big United fan. He's been singing Ollie's at the Wheel. And who knows? He may well be back at the wheel, because as we've been reporting for the last 48 hours or so, the plan for Manchester United seems to be an interim manager until the end of the season. Then they hope that some of those bigger names may be open to the job, the likes of Thomas Tuchel, even the England manager, Oliver Glasner, who we know his contract is up at Crystal Palace, and maybe Mauricio Pochettino, who they've looked at in the recent past, obviously the current USA manager, but probably won't be come the end of the World Cup. Two names in the frame at the moment. Michael Carrick, who had a brief interim stint after Jose Mourinho was fired. And we know as well that, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, who had a brilliant spell as caretaker last time around, you can't argue with that, and then went on to manage the club for the best part of 3 years. He is very much in United's thinking as well. Crucially, both Carrick and Solskjaer, as I understand it, are open to taking the job until the end of the season, and they have certainly been sounded out. I'm told there are a few other names on the list as well. If Darren Fletcher does well in these two games, I think he would come into consideration. But interesting, isn't it? They seem to be intent on going down that club legend path. I wonder if part of the reason for that is they know if they do hire a Fletcher or a Solskjaer or a Carrick, it might just silence some of the noise from those ex-United players in the media, one of whom, in Gary Neville, Ruben Amorim obviously referenced directly in that bizarre post-match rant at the weekend.
Do you have a preference? I mean, Michael Carrick did well at Borough, you know what you're getting with Ole. As you said, he did well as a caretaker boss before. I mean, who would you like to see do it?
Listen, Ollie did do well to start with, but I was at Watford when the away fans turned on him. His last game in charge at Vicarage Road, United got absolutely battered by the Hornets that day, and it was sad to see a club legend subjected to that. So I think there's a bit of revisionism really as to how it started and how it ended when it came to Solskjaer. Carrick is the one obviously who's gone away, and he's got some frontline experience at Middlesbrough. I think did a pretty good job there under difficult circumstances in terms of selling a lot of his best players. So I think I would probably lean towards Carrick if this is the route they want to go down.
I just want to say though that Amorim's carried the can for all of this, but there's been improvement in the team, no question, from last year. It wouldn't be difficult. But they've got to get the recruitment right. You know, whoever manages this team, that midfield is not strong enough. Everybody can see that. And until they do that, whoever goes in there is basically wasting their time to a certain extent.
Yeah, and I think the irony there is that they probably have never replaced Michael Carrick, who we're now talking about.
Midfield. We're talking about midfield,
as manager.
Yeah.
You know, there's a massive hole. They're the only supposed top team, not just in the Premier League, but in Europe, who don't have that sort of midfield enforcer. That's obviously going to be an area they're going to target in the summer with the likes of Baleba and Wharton and Elliot Anderson. But it's long overdue. And you look at the recruitment in the summer. Yes, Cunha and Mbeumo have definitely improved the team. The goals output is much better now. But could they have been better off spending some of that money in midfield? And you know what? Maybe even going for a cheaper option up front rather than spending so much money on Benjamin Šeško and ploughing that into midfield instead.
I agree with that.
Cheers, Cookie. Thanks very much.
Thanks, guys.
That's Alex Cook, our chief football correspondent. We'll keep an eye on that one for you. And again, Andy Goldstein alongside Benty coming up shortly. We'll be looking at his preferences, but it seems that Carrick and
you know, if United, of course, United want to challenge for the title. That's what they used to over the years. But if they finished in the top four, that would be a good season for them, considering where they've come from.
Yeah, I mean,
they're not miles away.
Not having European football really is.
It's a big advantage.
It is. Let's hear from Callum McFarland. He is the outgoing Chelsea boss. He did pretty well at the weekend in Andy's eyes. He thought he did all right, didn't he?
He did, yeah. He made some interesting substitutions.
He knows Liam Rosenior's coming in. He'll be in the stands for the Fulham game tomorrow. Callum's going to be in charge. And he's been talking about Liam's appointment.
I think if he's obviously been appointed the Chelsea manager because they believe he can handle the challenges of the Premier League. So I don't think it helps him. I think any game at Chelsea you need to win. There's always big pressure on that, and he'll understand that as we all do. So I don't think it makes any difference. He's going to come in and put his stamp on the team, and we will all be behind him. Now I think it will be a smooth transition. I think the lads are in a really good place. I've mentioned loads of times like the level they've shown this year, and it's just about getting that on the most consistent basis possible. And I think Liam is really excited, I'm sure, to take this job, and he'll have full faith, and we back him fully that he'll come in and it'll be a really smooth transition.
Yeah, we now know that Rosenior is the correct pronunciation. How long have we known his dad? We've been calling him the wrong name.
I know.
Sorry, Leroy, if you're listening.
Well, apparently he informed us, didn't he?
He did.
That's how they pronounce it. But I'm not right. Unlike Richard Keys, he's written Liam off already. He thinks he's got no chance and he's not even going to last till May, but I'm not sure. I think that's a bit negative. I think he's got more of a chance than that.
Yeah, okay. We're going to hear from Pep Guardiola finally today, and he was chatting ahead of the game against Brighton tomorrow, and he was discussing that the other club in Manchester, and he said it's been suggested that in an alternate world, Manchester United would be challenging for the title this season.
They hire you, every match they hire the perspective for your ideas, and you are sacked for the results. So nobody, few teams sustain for a long time, but sometimes you need a process, you need time. And so we're at BN United, so they draw 3 games at home, against Everton, 10 against 11, 70 minutes, against Bournemouth, against that. They made incredible job, the opponents, but the results will be close to Arsenal. So the gaps, the difference are sometimes so small. And now, you see the last games United have a lot of absence, like we can have right now. And it's difficult to cope, a lot of players in the African Cup and injuries, a lot of injuries, important players. And when important players are not available, always is more difficult. But the reason why is, to be honest, I don't know.
You'll hear their game against Brighton tomorrow. You'll hear all the games midweek here on talkSPORT, starting tonight with West Ham Forest at 7. Building up to that, coming up next, it's Andy Goldstein and Darren Bent with Drive.